Hello, everybody. I am back, finally, on a stream. Who the fuck would have guessed that one? So, got a special event planned for this evening. Requires a smidge of backstory. So, back right before October came about, buddy Kettle on the Coil let slip that him and some friends were doing a horror movie challenge during the month of October. 31 movies, 31 different categories. And me being the horror freak that I am, I pushed myself onto it. I'm like, yo, give me that list. And I played along. So now, both me and Kettle successfully completed the challenge. We each watched the 31 movies in the 31 different categories. And now we're going to talk about them. And we got some other people, Neffy, Fish, Neffy, Fish, Never, all saw some stuff themselves. So now we're going to chat about them. And judging by the fact that I can no longer hear the cackles from the other room, I can only assume that my co-hosts of the evening have gotten themselves pieced back together, although me saying that has apparently triggered them yet again. Dizzy, Midas, hello. Let's go in. Wait, that ain't right. That's the one. There it is. Let me undeafen.
Ooh,
hello.
That's fun.
Yeah. Oh wait, I need to adjust one little thing. Notice now. Here you go, chat. Front and center.
Oh.
Cool.
You will be held accountable for your words and your deeds.
Oh God.
In the manner befitting what's the Kojima? Kojima, that was a Kojima thing.
But we won't be held accountable, right?
No, not us, because
okay, great. That's
voices.
what's important.
Yeah, but chat will.
I never has been here this entire time while we were cackling at Brassy's picture.
Oh, he's judging us harshly. I'm sure.
It's a good picture.
Absolutely.
I was making like a noise, and apparently she really did not enjoy it.
She was like,
oh, is that what spawned that face?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought she was just being an innocent, sweet little cat. I didn't know you were giving her nightmares.
I wasn't. I was kissing her head, and then I'd go.
Oh yeah, you know, perfectly normal.
I mean,
behavior. So,
for me, that is perfectly normal. Thank you.
You know what? You got me.
Oh, look at my little witch. Hold on.
Yeah, we all got little witches. Can't really see mine too well unless I do something like that.
Neither. Kind of like you gotta be.
Yeah.
Look, up, over. It's delayed, so like.
Yeah.
I can't. Whatever. Okay, so. Give up.
Yeah. Yeah, we all got witches. We all got little spooky haunted houses and spooky trees. You're sorely disappointed that Never isn't a face rig cat. Look. It was debatable whether or not Never was even going to be able to be here. So we'll take what we can get. Never should just have the robot emote with a volume level display next to it. Next time. Like not Don Cheadle said at the end of the first Iron Man movie, next time.
We should use that picture of Braxy and just put it over Never's thing.
I won't be able to stop laughing. No, please don't.
Yeah, that would be a poor decision.
A poor decision or the best decision?
What happened? Oh,
It'd be pretty great.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what happened. You don't need to worry about what happened. Let me worry about blank.
Never, I think you're being assigned a persona.
No, not a persona, a fursona.
oh.
What, he marauders in a cat face when he streams anyway. How is this any different?
No, Midas, there's a new cat face. and I will share it with you.
The best cat face.
Later.
It's gonna
because
be.
I can't look at it without laughing.
Wait, there it is. It's gonna be pixelated as fuck, but whatever. There you go.
That is a look of concern.
I have a look of concern, so it's accurate.
Yeah, it seemed fitting.
I can't. I fucking can't. Look at her little lips. You guys are welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Horror. On to the horror.
Yeah. We're gathered here today.
I've done something. It's gone away.
Thank God.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go. I don't know where it went. For the record, it just vanished. I was trying to move it between levels and it just disappeared, and I don't know where it is. It's not at the top. Oh, it got taken all the way to the very bottom. You know what? It can stay there for the sake. We'll bring it back. Wait, you know what? Let me move it.
Our cat could become a meme.
There we go. I'll turn it off. I'll bring it back if you get unruly. When you eat too many vitamin gummies, yes, it's true. Some kind of gummy.
Order in the court. Judge Abraxas is here.
That's not order. That's chaos.
I mean, I can make it bigger.
God, no.
Like, as cropped and fucking shitty as it is, you could tell me that was taken in like 2005 and I would believe you.
Never. Thank you for those bits.
You can't even see them.
Oh, there you go.
The cat.
They're covered by the cat face.
This is what happens when I plan an event. Except I don't really plan an event. I just see what happens.
Yeah, this was kind of just thrown together in the past couple days.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it was talked about. Like, I think it was talked about. Yeah, I think it was talked about back when I was like, "Yo, let me get in on this challenge."
Mm-hmm.
And like 5 minutes later, I was like, "Yo, what if we make it through the challenge in November? We do a stream talking about all the movies."
Right, but as far as any like,
yeah,
because we do have. I believe we're going to do a recap.
Yes.
Of the things that we watched, and we have a few little fun categories. As a preview of that, we have like, and this is just based on your personal preference: scariest movie, worst movie, most disturbing movie, movie in which you think you could survive, most forgettable, one you won't watch again, comfiest movie, sexiest killer, and sleeper hit. And then we each have a top 5.
Yes. I contributed exactly one category to that list, and I think it's the one that stands out the most. It's pretty obvious which one I threw in there.
Oh, the sexiest.
Yeah. It's the one I forced in there.
Makes sense.
What do you mean even, they're kind of, some of them are kind of generic things that anybody could have thought, like scariest, worst, etc.
Yeah, but it works, and like that, I think that's honestly what it needed. Because like some of the stuff I was like, oh shit, Kettle's coming up with categories. I need to get in on this, so he's not doing all the work himself. And every single one I thought of, like I'd go the other direction with it. Like I wouldn't keep it simple. I'd be like, most creative use of a killing weapon in a movie, and I'm like, I can't even answer that myself.
No,
like,
no,
that's way too deep. For something I watched like a month ago, like that's way too deep. Most campy?
That's a fair one.
That could be one, yeah.
I'd have to do a brief look and see, but
Oh.
yeah, you wanna open it up, get started with what you started October out with?
I started October. Well, first of all, I actually had a question.
Oh.
I had a question because like we both set lists before the month started. We both like set like movie hit lists. Like we picked out all the stuff for the categories.
Yep.
How long before you deviated from that list? Well, I guess first of all, did you deviate from the list?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay. How long did it take? How many days deep did you get before you're like, you know what? I'm watching this instead.
It was 4 days in, but it wasn't so much as I decided. I remember because it was Hell House LLC, and that was a night where my girlfriend was over, and we were both going to knock out a category. I originally had Blair Witch Project set for that, and she fucking hates that movie.
Okay.
But the movie's so good. I mean, I guess I can understand. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those you love it or you hate it. I think there's no real middle ground with Blair Witch. Like it's either like, oh yeah, I really really dug what they did with it, or nah, fuck that movie, nothing happens.
I think like what I enjoyed most about it was the found footage, the fact that that the actors knew nothing about what was going on.
The making of Blair Witch is like honestly probably vastly more interesting and entertaining than the movie itself, and I like the movie, but.
Right.
And then it combines with it, possibly I'm finding to be my favorite category, which is possession. So like it's got the found footage that's done well, and then it's got possession, and I'm just like, yeah, this is my jam.
I think like when I first saw Blair Witch, I just like back in the day, I just didn't get the found footage thing, and then I grew to appreciate it, and then watched it, and then actually fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm. So I deviated from my list day one. First day, deviated from my list because I brought a DVD. DVD works fine. Had to play it in my laptop. For some reason...
Oh, I think I remember this story.
Yeah, my laptop running VLC put a green bar around the bottom of the... Like, underneath the screen where it should have just been cropped out. Could not figure out how to get it to go away. So I was just like, fuck it. I'm pulling up... I just subscribed to Shudder to aid me in this quest. Fuck it. I'm pulling up Shudder. I'm looking... Seeing what they got that matches this category. And kind of went from there. I actually... I probably watched... From that initial list, I only probably watched a handful of movies that were on that initial list. Almost everything else got replaced.
Mine stayed pretty tried and true. I had a few swap ups and then a few that I wasn't sure of, and just kind of like blind threw something in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the most part, I stayed with it, I think.
So pretty different.
So October 1st.
October 1st, I went with the water aquatic category and watched Humanoids from the Deep, and Fish was also there. This is the one she watched, which I had heard stuff about. Like I heard it was kind of like a cool campy movie, and it is. It was great. It basically involves a small fishing town. I think, were they in Louisiana? It was like some like southern.
No, it wasn't southern. It was up by like Maine or something close.
Oh, was
to
it?
that.
I just remember like it was a small fishing town, kind of like Amityville Island, only way more redneck.
What was it again? Humanoids
from the Deep. So like Amityville Island, but way more redneck. There's a laboratory, like a scientific research laboratory in the vicinity that's been working on making, I think, salmon hyper intelligent to like propagate their breeding cycles and generate more salmon for the fishermen to haul in. Some of those things escape. They get fed on by weird prehistoric aquatic creatures. That then California, that makes sense with the salmon connection. So these weird prehistoric creatures like feed on them, mutate into giant humanoid aquatic creatures that then proceed to attack the town with the purposes of killing all the guys and banging all the women to breed with them. And it's about as insane as that premise sounds. It's great.
Nice. It sounded pretty good. It sounded like something I definitely would enjoy seeing.
I think you would. It was great.
Oh yeah, it's definitely coming into the collection. Mojo, hello. It's not October. We're talking about what we did in October.
The recap.
We can't talk about what we did in October.
Yeah, especially with Halloween being the last day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I thought California was the cult capital, Mojo Dame, not the.
Some cults eat people.
Yeah, some cults did eat people.
It could be more than one.
Yeah. It's a diverse area.
Technically, could you call those fish people the Californians? I don't know if they originated
They
there.
reside in California, so. They were born there, so.
Yeah. Citizens.
So, Kel, what did you see? What did you start with?
Oh, yes. I started with the classic category, and I watched Seven.
Ah.
Now, I don't know if that's like technically horror, like
I would count it. It's in there, like it's kind of more
kind of deal. Like it's got some freaky shit in it, so like I was like, hey, it's good enough for me. And I've been meaning to rewatch it for a while, and I was like, you know what, I went with that. But and I think most people know at least the gist of it. There's a killer doing the 7 deadly sins kills.
Yeah.
And then, you know, what's in the box, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a really good flick. It's one of those, I mean, I know it's like, I think I'll go on 25 years old, but it's like, if you haven't seen it,
bless you.
Seriously watch it.
Yeah. So it held up for you? You still liked it?
Yeah. There was definitely some bits of uncomfortableness, like the kills of it, man. It's kind of
they are gruesome, and like back when it came out, like it was like
it was like 1995.
Yeah, back when it came out, it was like Saw levels of like how could they go this far, and how could we go any further? And then you watch it like next to one of the later Saw movies, and it's like 7 is tame. 7 doesn't come close to the amount of like gore and brutality that's in one of the later Saw movies. But back in the day, like it was like, holy shit, how did they get away with this?
Also, drawing the comparison is why I think it does qualify as a horror movie, because if Saw qualifies, 7 should qualify.
7,
on the basis
for sure.
They are in that same vein.
Yeah, 7 totally qualifies as a horror movie, but it's kind of in that same category as Silence of the Lambs. You'll have like
thrillers.
They labeled it a thriller so they could win awards or be taken seriously or something like that. But no, it's a fucking horror movie. Right. Like through and through, it is straight up a horror movie.
I see that, Simon.
Oh yeah, there he goes.
He was barking at the neighbor walking by.
He's like, I have an opinion on this.
See, the reason that 7 is a horror movie
is because
I don't think 7's a horror movie at all, because I didn't see one bad thing happen to any dogs in it.
Yeah.
No,
wasn't scary to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Several dogs got offed in that movie.
So technically, I guess my first movie would have been Mothman Prophet.
Well, that was technically September 30th. Like we watched it the day before.
For me, it counts.
We can count it.
Yeah,
considering you don't got a full list.
Look, there's basically no rules for this.
Yeah, there's no real rules.
Whatever rules you want to set for yourself. It's all in the name of fun.
Yeah, and considering you don't got a full list,
and there's no fucking rules anyway. So
yeah. I watched Mothman Prophecies, which you have Richard Gere as
Richard Gere.
Gere as Fudge John, and then you've got his wife Mary, and I can't remember who plays her, but she's purty. And it's
wasn't the chick from Will and Grace?
I think so.
Deborah Messing? Possibly? Was that Deborah Messing?
I love her. She's deceptively good as an actress.
It was Deborah Messing.
Hey.
So, you've got them, and it just follows it just this mishmash of what is it called when you're a Bigfoot hunter? Cryptozoology.
Cryptozoologist.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. What, like cryptozoology meets like I don't know. I'm assuming from like the few episodes of X Files I've seen, like that mishmash, because it has moments.
It definitely
like,
it's got an X Files vibe to it for sure.
Well, I need to watch that. I have not seen it.
So. Oh, it's good.
It
definitely like I watched it a lot when it came out. This is the first time I'd seen it again in many years. And it definitely, like, you can tell it's from, what was it, like 2001?
2002.
2002? Like, it looks like a early 2000s era movie, but it still holds up. Like, it's still pretty, like, the mystery is good. It's got a great cast. Will Patton's in it.
I don't know if I would call it scary, though.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's overtly scary. It's more creepy. And it's more of a thinker the way it goes, because it's like it's less it goes boo at you or anything like that, and more just like the concept of what this thing is and what it can apparently do is just like really creepy to think about.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Like overall, it wasn't like it was a decent flick. I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't say like I'm in love with it.
Yeah.
I mean Richard Gere. Like he's always interesting to
he's a good actor.
Yeah, he's always interesting to watch act. Like I like his facial expressions, and he usually plays like serious roles really well. I wasn't like spooked by it or overly enthralled with it. Like I've seen better films, but I've seen worse films.
Yeah, it's a good like rainy Sunday like sick day movie.
Yeah.
If you want to just like if you're sprawled on the couch and you want something entertaining to watch, but like you don't want to get like super heavily invested, like you just want something that's kind of like, you know, comfy, but like with a creepy edge to it. Like it's one of those
understand that.
good kind of movies. What did you think of Humanoids from the Deep Fish?
I absolutely loved it because I forgot what we were talking about. Yes, because it was about my people. Because I mean, it kind of had that Jaws vibe where there's that small town and everybody knows each other and you know relies on its community to survive. And like it seems like, you know what, you have this season where people come in, and I mean that's basically what they're doing the whole fishing thing for, is they want more fish so that there's more production, and then there's more fishing and there's more money.
Right.
So it reminded me of that, but then it threw in that little bit of sadism that I absolutely love in a horror movie. I love it when
it doesn't hold back. Like it's Jaws, but with more bite.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And despite how many dogs get offed in that movie, it's pretty it's actually kind of intense in its own way. Like
yeah, like that's I think what surprised and impressed me the most about it, because I was expecting just like campy late 70s 80s horror that with like cheesy effects and everything like that, and like cardboard characters, and it really isn't. It's actually a very well-made movie. Like it's got campy elements, but it's surprisingly well made. And
the scenes where like the fish decide to like procreate with the humans forcefully.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they didn't make it too uncomfortable. Like they made it they put it in like, you know, there's that normal slasher.
Yeah.
Oh god, there's boobies. But then it didn't make it uncomfortable to watch. It was just like, oh, that's happening now. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, there was enough of an absurdity factor to it where it was almost like how cartoon violence is, where it's just like you see something absolutely horrifying happen to Wile E. Coyote, But you're laughing because it's a cartoon and the way it's presented is very over the top and ridiculous.
Right. The whole idea of this like person dressed up as swamp fish. But the cool thing about it was too, like it threw in so many elements of horror. Like, okay, so it had Jaws, it was a little suspenseful, it was a little tense, but it was also slashery too in its way with like teenagers that were getting attacked first. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm not going to spoil anything.
Some spoilers will be in effect, but they're at everyone's own discretion. Like, there's certain things that I know I'm not going to be spoiling, like especially once we get to like Hereditary. Just because that's a movie that I'm not going to. Just because that's a movie, if you haven't seen, you just need to watch. So I'm going to try very hard not to spoil certain things. But spoiler effect is in like big bright letters. Like we will may or may not spoil things as we deem necessary.
Yeah, no, I couldn't say what I was going to say.
A general blanket warning.
Yeah. Never. What did you watch? What was your first? Can you even remember?
I can't even remember, to be perfectly honest. I have not watched nearly enough of the 31 Days of Horror. And of the movies that I have watched, I have tended to forget most of them. I feel like I need to take a notebook with me for October and just start writing everything down as we go.
Yeah.
I don't have strong opinions.
Oh my God.
To say. Go ahead.
Dizzy watched a movie.
Which
Disney
movie was
watched
it?
a movie.
Disney watched a movie.
So Never's pick for most forgettable movie is like literally every single movie he watched last month. Is what I'm
Everyone gets an award.
Yeah.
It's like,
and in this case, I guess it's like a participation trophy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, Joker.
Equally as sad because they're all forgettable.
Yeah.
I've not seen Joker, but I've heard very good things. All right, so day 2. What'd you do for day 2, Kel?
Day 2, I did the creepy documentary category. I found one on YouTube about Joseph Fritzl. The
name sounds familiar.
He's the guy who kept his daughters in a basement for like 20 years and had daughters with his daughters.
Oh, good.
He wasn't a super nice fella.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like doesn't seem like I want to invite him to my bowling league.
No. And I came across just like searching like creepy documentaries because I had literally nothing in mind for that, and I was just like scrolling through and I was like, well, this one's on YouTube. I mean, I already like generally like knew the general sense of it, but yeah, it's definitely he's in prison now forever, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Wait, was that a creepy documentary category?
Yeah.
Huh. I watched a good one.
Oh, what'd you watch?
Shit, what's the name of?
You probably watched like 12.
It was the one. It's the one, yeah, more than likely. It was the one, I can't remember the name of it, but Ellen Page. Ellen Page played the girl, but it was about 2 young ladies who were sisters who their parents were working the carnivals, so they were on a circuit and they needed somewhere to leave the girls while they were having marital issues too, and they needed to work it out. But they leave the girls with this woman, and this is a true story, who basically had 4 kids of her own, and the oldest daughter of her children and the older sister of the original girls had gotten into a small, like really small disagreement. And so the lady basically locked this young woman in the basement and had all of her kids' friends come and torture her and do bad things to her, and I think she ended up passing away. I can't.
Oh, I remember the name of. Oh, I remember. I know who you're talking about. No, well, not the movie. I know who it's based off of.
Yeah, well, Ellen Page was the girl in the movie.
Right? No. I mean, like who it was based off of, like the woman who did it, and then the girl who died.
Yeah, I also saw a fictional account of that story years and years ago called The Girl Next Door. It was fucked up.
Yeah, and then I watched the actual documentary on it, and it horrible.
Like Sylvia Likens. Sylvia Likens, Gertrude Bainsweski, I think is her last name. Sylvia Likens. Yep. I'm trying to find the name because I just listened to on my
American Crime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As always, the real monsters are people.
I mean,
Yeah.
Most of the shit in all the other movies we watch ain't real.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna want to watch that because that was a really interesting. Like I didn't see the movie, but I listened to on my podcast for female murderers or female criminals. That popped up, and it's just like they carved into her stomach.
The word slut.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, it was worth like I am a whore, something like that. And she's this 15-year-old girl.
And it was all because she stopped the older daughter of Likens from getting raped.
Oh, see, that's the sad part. In the movie, that might be the case. What I gather from like the podcast
No,
watching,
that's
they
what
just
happened.
She just was being a dick.
The older daughter was upset with the fact that the girl, Ellen Page's character, I can't remember her name, but she was upset with the fact that she went and told her mother the reason why she was getting, or she went and told everybody else, or somebody else heard that she was pregnant with this man's daughter, and he was about to rape her, and the girl stopped her, and then he heard she was pregnant, and then word spread around town and in school and everything like that. So the mother, to punish Ellen Page's character's name, whoever it was, ended up getting punished, but the severe punishment was having the younger son's friends come over, and they were doing terrible things to her, and they carved in her skin. They used cigarettes to burn her. They didn't feed her. They didn't water her.
It was terrible. She's a plant. I
mean, she got planted eventually. So.
Eventually, yes.
Anyway.
Real life horror.
I watched a lot of creepy documentaries.
So, for my second day, I did the cryptid category. I watched Q the Winged Serpent, which I actually just wound up rewatching earlier today as well, because it was one of the ones on the Joe Bob Last Drive-In thing, which I'm having a lot of fun watching. Is the story of the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl, this giant dragon thing, flying around New York City, snatching people off of rooftops and eating their heads. Which
fun pastime?
Yeah.
Is that what you like to do?
Well, not that I like to brag about it, but
and I think the most impressive thing is that, like, you would think, like, because this thing is huge. This thing is like dragon sized, and like no one, like, for a huge part of the movie, no one sees this thing, and they don't know where it is, and they're trying to find where its nest is, which seems ridiculous in New York City of all places, that this thing would be able, the creature of this size in the air would be able to do something like this. But the movie manages to sell it in a really cool way.
I wonder if that's part of the horror, where it's something that should be so obvious right in front of you that you cannot get anyone else to believe you on, because no one else is seeing a giant dragon just flying through the air.
Well, I mean, for a huge part of it, like, it snatches up and eats, like, several people, and just no one sees the thing. They just don't know what happened. It's not until, like, much later in the movie that finally, like, there's an eyewitness account, and the police detective that's, like, chasing down the case and is investigating like Aztec museum curators, like Aztec display museum curators and everything like that, and asking them like what the fuck is up with this. Because there's also like a cult leader guy that's like cutting people's hearts out and skinning them and shit like that too. That's happening on the side, as is the story of this shitty, washed up ex-con of a thief / piano player / a bunch of other stuff, being involved in a diamond heist and then losing the diamonds, and then the criminals are coming after him. He stumbles onto the nest of this thing and then blackmails the city of New York to tell them where it is.
Hey.
Great idea.
Yeah. Was it in Madison Square Garden like Godzilla? It was not. It was in the Chrysler Building. But Godzilla and The Host were both referenced as movies that basically copied like the same story as Q the Winged Serpent. And having seen the American, like the 98 Godzilla movie, yeah, it's basically Q the Winged Serpent, only without as many decapitations, heart extractions, or boobs.
Well, now you're losing all the fun parts.
Yeah, exactly. Now, instead of that, we get Matthew Broderick.
All right. Want to roll into the third?
Yeah, let's go.
So this is one I know that we both watched.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think you did it for the black and white category, or maybe not. Curse of the Demon. I don't know what you put that under.
That was so. Not only did we both watch this movie, we both watched it on day 3. Only for me, the category was suggestion from a friend.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's how I got roped into this. Because you're like, I need a suggestion from a friend. Give me a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, what you doing
I was
over
like,
there?
well, look, I know like one movie buff guy, so
Right.
That's where I'm going.
Like, what are you doing over there, Kettle? Let me get in on this shit.
Yeah. So yeah, that one is I think from like it's the 50s. I think I want to say like 57 or something like that.
57 sounds right.
Yeah. And was it I'm trying to even figure out where to begin because it's all like a little vague, like because I remember there's King Neckbeard that lives with his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his actual name?
No.
Oh, okay.
Might as well.
Sure. I wasn't sure.
It's one of those. It's uncanny for like a movie being in the 1950s. It's kind of like a chubby guy with an unkempt beard and like still lives at home with his mom.
Yeah.
And his mom's like a nice little old lady, always offering to make people ice cream and wanting to set this one other lady up with her son. She's like, rather not. But yeah, he has some kind of demon power from what was
he's got the cult, right?
The cult.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I recall of this movie, because I remember you also mentioning this to me, and then I ended up watching it as well, is that there is in London, or I guess the UK, more broadly speaking, somewhere out in the English countryside, I think, or it's not really ever clear where exactly they are, just somewhere overseas in the grand land of jolly old England. And I'm sure Mr. Mize can tell me how incorrectly I'm phrasing this, but there is this guy, I think it's Kurtzwell. He has a cult because he's found magical, mystical, demon-based powers, and everybody...
Oh, it was Cars. I pulled up the wiki now.
Yeah, everybody bows down to him because they don't want to be cursed by the demons, except for men of science.
Oh, yeah.
Like the intrepid professor who flies in, this brave American who shows up on site, tells everyone that they are foolish for believing in demons, and completely ignoring the plot until about 80% of the way through the movie.
Yeah, and it's really just mostly wind that ends up convincing him, but it's wind that happens at opportune times.
Yeah. My brief synopsis, like for Curse of the Demon, was creepy old guy summons demons to avoid losing the tax exempt status for his weird cult.
Yeah, that's it. And
that's pretty
there's
good.
A couple things I definitely want to point in there is like I think it was required by law in the 50s, but you have to have characters that are racial stereotypes. the scene in which the Carswell is hosting the children's party, and he shows off his power just by making a giant windstorm, and there's just shit like lawn furniture is blowing all over the place. Children are running and screaming. Hilarious. Probably my favorite scene in the entire movie. Like, it's the greatest.
It doesn't need that for no reason. Like, it's just to kind of show off. He decides that he's going to upend this children's party.
Yeah, well, from what I remember, he does it to prove to the investigator that he has these powers. Where he's just like, "Oh, you don't believe me, do you?"
To Dr. Holden.
Yeah, I'm gonna conjure a
Dr.
tornado
Holden.
to fuck up this glorious children's party just because I can. Get wrecked, bitch. The thing,
and then Holden still doesn't believe him.
Yeah,
he's just like, "Yeah, you know what? None of this matters to me."
Bitch, wind happens. That's science. The thing I dug about it was the demon itself. We only get I think 2 good looks at the actual demon.
A little bit at the beginning, and then a decent one at the end.
Yeah, but that demon looked amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, the low quality of the demon prop made it look scarier.
Yeah, it definitely looks just like a puppet. But it's just the design of it and the level of detail they put into the weird prop mask looked really cool.
Yeah, and I did confirm it is 1957. You see that in the movie theater in 1957, you're probably gonna shit your pants.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
If
You're
I
gonna
saw
go
it coming
home
after
and
me
be like,
today, I will.
They're all going out to see the movie in 57, coming home like, oh.
Well, especially and thinking about it now, especially for that time period, because devil, Satan, possession type movies, they just didn't exist.
Well, I don't know. Look at your silent evolved around.
Well, from a period of
in possession,
right. So post that time, and then pre The Exorcist, there really weren't that many. Because a bunch of coding officials came in and ruined everyone's fun, and they're like, you can't be showing no demons on no movies, sir.
You can't have no demons here.
Yeah.
You know what I like about the movie is there's an extra element of horror for the modern viewer.
Is there?
Oh.
Yeah. So check this out, right? So there is the demon, there's the demon summoning, there's the cult, there's all of that stuff. And sure, that's horrifying. But watch the way that the psychiatrists treat every single person in that movie.
I don't remember.
It's great. The woman comes up to them, right? The heroine of the picture. And she says, I've seen this terrifying, these terrifying things. There's this cult. It took down my dad. And the psychiatrist's response is, get a hold of yourself.
I do remember that now.
He just goes into some poor old lady's house because she's, affiliated with this cult. And he just wanders around and ignores everything she tells him and yells at her about signing forms while she's grieving, her dead relatives. They haul a lunatic out of the asylum and put him up on stage for everyone's amusement.
Dance, Looney Tune, dance!
And eventually he kills himself because they just keep torturing him.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, this is all portrayed as heroic. This is all the good guys doing this.
Yeah.
The actual cult leader
wasn't really a thing back then.
You guys were bastards. No, yeah, really, mental.
But what? Curse of the Demon, super great. Also, because we're not in awards yet, I'll go ahead and say it's not my winner for most comfy, but I would give it an honorable mention for that. It's very comfy.
Is not mine. Is honestly. So there's we got 10 categories, not including top 5.
Something like that.
There's a lot that aren't going to get category picks. That doesn't mean
exactly
they're not any good. Because Curse of the Demon, it didn't place in any of the categories for me. But I would second you on the comfy movie.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has that vibe. I think it was a contender for comfy movie for me.
Yeah. What was your third?
My third. Wait, that was my third. Curse of the Demon was also my third.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah, because we synced up weirdly on that one.
Yeah.
Mr. Midas, to respond to your question, no, I don't think he actually slaps her.
I don't recall.
He just
that.
grabs
I think
her
they were
by
a
the
little
shoulders.
bit. Yeah, they were progressive for the
Yeah,
gesture. Like, we're not gonna slap this woman.
They didn't slap her.
Because he
They
was,
just kind of gave her a shake, like, ah,
Fuck, get a
Because he's
hold of
fucking
yourself,
modern.
lady.
Yeah.
you're hysterical.
Pow, right in the kisser.
One of these modern civilized gentlemen.
Yeah.
He's beyond slapping.
Yeah, he's up to
just wants
shaking.
Put her in the attic.
Yeah.
But okay, then the fourth.
The 4th, October 4th. I did the What You Wish You Could Have Seen at the Drive-In category. Which I didn't really like. I've never been to a drive-in. I didn't grow up in the age of drive-ins. So I was kind of at a loss as to what to watch for it. So I decided to pick something that if it had played on a drive-in would absolutely completely fuck with the horny kids and the normies who just wandered into the drive-in one night to watch whatever the hell was on the screen, and went with Cannibal Holocaust, which was
Yes.
one of the few ones that was on the original list that stuck with. I think Curse the Demon was on the original list. Cannibal Holocaust also was. So yeah, it's a movie. I've seen it. For those that don't know, it's about a group of documentarians that are secretly scumbags and stage everything, all these atrocities, to make a better, like, more engaging, visceral documentary. They go down to South America and go into the jungle and start fucking with the natives until the natives decide, hey, we're gonna fuck back. So it's very much like it's very much like there's a lot of found footage, like a huge part of the movie. It's not a found footage movie, but a huge part of the movie is found footage. To the point that, like, it's kind of credited as being like the original precursor to stuff like Blair Witch. Even though I don't know, just because there is a narrative to it. Like, there's a whole section of it that's not found footage, so I don't know if I'd go that far, but it is pretty close.
Yeah.
I've seen it a number of times. It's a movie I have a lot of appreciation for, but it is a tough sit. And honestly, the more I see it, the tougher it gets with the infamous on-screen true animal violence that takes place in that movie. Like, the more I see it,
that's kind of the thing for me. Like, I'm like,
the more I see it, the more squeamish I get about it. Or I'm just like,
it's because the novelty's wearing off, and you're having more time to just appreciate.
I think so. Yeah. Where it's just like, I don't want to, like, I didn't want to see it the first time. Seeing it again and again, and I've seen it like maybe 5 times, but the more I see it, the more I'm just like, like I respect the movie and everything like that, and apparently they ate whatever it was that they killed, so it's like, all right, well, I guess it wasn't, they didn't just throw it in the river, so like that makes it a little bit easier to handle, but it's still something that, like, I'd rather not have to look at.
I enjoyed Cannibal.
I enjoy it. Like, I think it's I think it's a great movie, but it's always one that, like, I can never really fully wholeheartedly recommend it to anyone. It's always with that asterisk. It's like, oh, it's a great movie, but here's the thing. Here's the thing you need to know before you go. Don't go in blind. Here's some shit that you will see in it if you watch, like, the absolutely unrated cut, and you need to be prepared for it. And if that's gonna fuck you over too much, don't watch it. Just do not.
That's why it's generally on the gauntlet of, you think you've seen fucked up horror movies.
It's definitely on, like, even outside of the animal violence. Like, that kind of edges it up the list a little bit, but, like, it's an extreme, like, it's a gauntlet movie. It's a, I remember, how bad are you? How hard are you?
I think Cannibal Holocaust, because I didn't watch it with you, but it's still, like, it's one of those movies that just sits there in your head. It doesn't go... Did we watch? No, we watched it, but we didn't watch it this October. Like, I didn't watch it. No,
not this October. Yeah. But I was the one that showed it to you, because who the fuck else would do that?
no, you were, and that was fine. Like, and it didn't really bother me all that much. It's just the premise of it. Like, I think what bothered me more about that movie was the fact that it just shows how dicky people coming into a new land can be, and that bothered me more than the animal violence.
No, like, it definitely leans into Never Saw a Point of we're the real monsters. Like, it goes hard into that spectrum where it's just like, yeah, these things that are happening to them are horrifying, but they deserve it. Fuck those people.
Yeah, but like it's a good movie. Even now, I think it's been like 2 years since I've watched it. I still remember that movie, and I think it was the one. It was the one that honestly turned me towards like the older horror movies, because I was like 70s films, 60s films, 80s, pshaw. But watching it and realizing, oh yeah, it may be grainy, but this is still gold.
Yeah, the graininess adds to it, if anything.
Right.
With Cannibal Holocaust, anyway.
Thank you for showing me that movie years ago.
So, thinking about it, what's the group's broader opinion on Gauntlet movies? Movies that intentionally are designed to really push the envelope of watchability.
I'm drawn to them. Because I want to know.
I've seen a handful. But,
I've seen
I'm for them existing because, free speech and all that. But,
it's not your cup of tea.
Not generally speaking. I mean, there's some funny shit. Like, I kind of see the Human Centipede as just being more funny than anything.
Oh, yeah. The Human Centipede.
That's one that people are always up there saying. I haven't seen a Serbian film. I've read about a Serbian film, and I'm like,
Oh, a Serbian film will fuck you up. I went in hardened. I was like, I've seen Cannibal Holocaust. I've seen Human Centipede. I've seen Inside. Like, come at me, movie. That one. I was like, I need to bleach my soul after I got done with that one. But I still love it. Like, I still think it's an amazing movie.
I am overtly curious about movies like that. I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be really, really sick.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Well, and then I watched a Serbian film and I was like, I've gone too far.
Yeah.
It was a really, really like intense, almost captivating and hypnotizing at some point, because it's like a train wreck. You can't stop watching it once you started, and even though it's sickens you down to your core.
Serbian film is still on my list. I've done a lot of pre-research though, because with stuff like that, like, give me ghosts and monsters and demented children and possessed things all day long. Show me real life horror, and then I'm uncomfortable. But so I've done a lot of research, and a Serbian film is a social commentary on what happens in Serbia. So, all these people that are up in arms, it's torture porn. It's scary it's disgusting for the sake of being disgusting. No, it's uncomfortable because this is probably happening somewhere, and that's why you don't like it. And that's understandable. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not saying everybody should watch it. I plan on watching it eventually. I need to dirty my soul, but I feel like it's a portion of the truth. Therefore, that's the horror. That's why you're calling this is the dirtiest film ever. It should be outlawed everywhere. No, you just don't want to face what's actually going on. And again, we go down to Never's basis comment on this. We are the monsters. And
I got some shit to say about that later on when we talk about some other stuff.
What'd you do for day 4?
For day 4, I did found footage. One I watched with my girlfriend, which she suggested. I think she had seen it before, but enjoyed, and that is Hell House LLC.
Yeah,
and that one is a tale. I believe it's in New York because it's some kids, or I say kids, probably like my age, maybe a little younger. Kids,
damn kids.
They buy a property to set up a haunted house, kind of a little bit out of town. I think in the movie it's like a half-hour drive from New York City or something. But very cursed, bad things happen, and it's kind of one of those things kind of gradually start getting weirder, and it's kind of fun because it's in a haunted house where it's some of the props and stuff move, but they think it's just one of the other people fucking with it. But you expect to see spooky things there.
Right, yeah.
So that was kind of an interesting take on it.
So what this tells me is don't hang around people who enjoy horror films, because otherwise you'll never know if you're actually in a horror film.
He's got to hang up.
Just don't hang around
right
people.
There we go.
I think is the
Keep
better
never away from
takeaway.
the people.
But Boone, killer animals. You can't hang around the animals either.
Just don't hang around anyone. In fact, just check out. Just lock yourself in a room.
By yourself, you're not safe.
I know.
Nowhere is safe.
Put yourself in a medical coma.
Even that's not safe. Have you not seen The Cell? That's not safe either.
Ooh.
Well, it's only not safe if Jennifer Lopez bumps her ghetto booty in and starts wrecking up the place. He was doing fine in there by himself until she blundered in.
Right. So honestly, I think that's how I was introduced to Vincent D'Onofrio. Was The Cell. I was like 9 and I watched The Cell.
I think the first D'Onofrio movie that I can recall seeing was probably Men in Black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember Law and Order.
Well, I remember. I'm trying to remember if I knew him from Men in Black first or the one episode of Homicide: Life on the Street he was on. I can't remember which. It was probably around the same time that I saw both of them, and honestly, I don't think I knew it was the same guy. So it's really hard to tell.
But yeah, that was a fun little found footage thing. Because like I said, I was originally gonna do Blair Witch. Girlfriend hated it, so I was like, all right, try this one. Also, I wanted to say in the interest, because I had a kind of a little internal thing noticing it. In the interest of time, I noticed we've got 4 movies and it's been an hour.
Yes, I've noticed that.
Oh yeah,
we've done many tangents.
I have all sorts of time, but I don't know how much I could
invest. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got you.
I'm perfectly good to go for probably 3-4 hours be the absolute max, but at this rate it would be like 6 hours before we got.
Yeah, that's a little long.
Yeah. All right, so movie 5.
Yeah, movie 5. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to maybe rapid fire our full list and then?
I'd like to hear the highlights. Is what I'd like to hear.
Let's rapid. That way we get through the list.
Fire and highlights.
That's why that way we get through the list, and then we could come back around to highlights and just ride it out and do categories and shit.
Okay.
And then we can then it's not like, oh well, I mean, I guess tune in next week for part 2 where we cover movies 6 through 10.
16 through 31.
Yeah, so the list is out there. We got our lists out there, and then there's some of these that we probably won't need to talk about too much. No. So where'd we leave off? Day 4?
5.
Yeah,
we're on day 5. Okay, yeah. Well, if you want to go through the rest of your list, go for it.
Okay, yeah, we can do it like that. So the 5th blindfold pick, Tusk.
Yes.
October 6th, suggestion from a friend. This friend being Boone, In the Mouth of Madness.
So
quite
good.
Fun. The 7th, Sid Haig movie, Devil's Rejects. The 8th, horror comedy, Idle Hands. The 9th, I'll get to it eventually, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. October 10th, wish I could have seen it at the drive-in, Friday the 13th Part 2. I realized after watching it that was not the correct Friday the 13th I was thinking of. I believe it was 3 that I was thinking of.
The one where he gets the mask? Is that what you're going for? Yeah.
Yeah. I watched the second one. I'm like, oh, this is Baghead Jason.
I've made a huge mistake.
Basically, but I watched it anyway.
Yeah, it's still fun.
Is 3, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, 3 is the one that has Corey Feldman, right?
I'm not sure actor-wise.
Ending? The little boy.
No, that was 4. No, I know who Corey Feldman is in the Friday the 13th series. I was just trying to remember which one that happened in. No, that's 4.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite Jason movie.
I just want to say
where the kid beats the ever living shit out of Jason.
And I just want to say that humans are monsters, but children, especially small children, are the worst.
Oh, they are.
The monster.
Well, they're like humans, but smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying.
All right. And your next one, Kettle.
Yes. 11, Infection, 28 Days Later. 12, one I loved as a kid. I'm kind of going relatively with teenager. Saw. 13th, Cryptid, Night of the Demon, not to be confused with Curse of the Demon, which is basically a 70s shitty Bigfoot hunting thing. Basically, the highlight of the movie is Bigfoot rips a guy's dinger off, and it's hilarious.
Oh, hell yeah.
Aside from that, the movie's pretty garbage. Horror movie that starts with a W, Wishmaster. 15th, Possession, The Exorcist, which, man, watching it again nowadays, it does not need to be over 2 hours long. It's slow as fuck. And
see, I was enthralled the entire way through when I watched that.
I guess still enjoy it before.
I've seen it a few times. I still dig it, but like I could see what you mean though. It does. It's a slowly paced film.
Yeah. 16th, Group Watch, Blade.
Oh hell yeah.
17th, Sexy Horror, Cheerleader Camp. 18th, Foreign Language, Martyrs. I got a lot to say about Martyrs later.
Oh yeah.
19th, Aliens, Roswell, the UFO cover-up, which was a little like made for TV movie. They try to advertise it really heavily as it having Dustin Hoffman, or no, not Dustin Hoffman, fucking Martin Sheen in it, and he's barely in the fucking thing. But it also has Kyle MacLachlan, or however that is, Coop from Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Fun. It's a fun little movie.
Yeah, I think I remember that aired on Fox, right?
I don't know. I am not sure.
I think I remember it was like back during like the heyday of like when X-Files was at peak 90s, popularity, and they're like, we're doing the Roswell autopsy video thing.
That was a fun little one. 20th, 80s horror. I did Reanimator.
Yeah.
21st, Water Aquatic, The Meg.
You get to watch Statham punch a shark in the nose.
Basically, yeah. 22nd, YouTube horror, a short one called Die Sitter Die.
Okay.
Basically, girl enters advertisement to be babysitter for a child. Turns out to be big man in baby things, has weird fetish thing. Yeah, it was a watch. 23rd, Camp Theme, Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
24th, Wrong Holiday, Jack Frost. Got some more to say on that later. 25th, women directed / led, Little Monsters. 26th, released in the last year, Haunt. Disney Channel original, R.L. Stein's Mostly Ghostly, Who Let the Ghost Out. It's fucking garbage. Holy fucking shit. I like Goosebumps back in the day, so that's why I was like, maybe this will be okay. Trash. Absolute trash. Ugh. 28th, Creature Feature, Dracula vs. Frankenstein. Also trash. Super duper fucking trash. Probably the biggest trash on my list.
Oh no.
29th, Spooky Musical, Repo the Genetic Opera. 30th, Ghost Story, Paranormal Activity. And 31st, Creepy Child, Orphan.
Okay.
That is my 31.
I've got
it off my flame.
head.
Oh shit! It's getting serious
warm.
now.
It's getting warm in here. I'm talking about all these movies.
Yeah, it's heating up.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's see.
You were the next one.
From 5th to 31st on October 5th for Sid Haig movie category, Spider Baby, which I believe is his first ever film. It's a lot of fun.
I watched that with you.
Yeah, Fish and Neff watched that with me. And then October 5th was actually a cheat day. Watched 2 that day. So Sid Haig was the first one. Foreign Language was the second one. Carved the Slit-Mouthed Woman, which was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
Let's see. October 6th for Creature Feature, we watched Castle Freak with Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton. That was a lot of fun.
It was.
For Camp Theme, I can't remember. What was my original Camp Theme one gonna be? I'm trying to remember.
Was it Sleepaway Camp?
No. My original camp...
The Burning?
Yeah, my original... Thank you. My original Camp Theme one was gonna be The Burning, except I couldn't find anywhere to watch it properly. So instead, I got creative with the Camp Theme, and since it didn't say Summer Camp, I went with Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I was like,
I haven't seen it, but
they didn't say it couldn't be about a concentration camp, so I said, fuck it.
Wow.
It just said Camp Theme. I rolled with it.
Holy fucking...
It's a camp theme.
It was. I think it was on Shudder. I can't remember where I watched that one.
Man.
For October 8th, for Ghost Story, me and Fish watched The Grave Dancers, which is mid-2000s horror starring Dominic Purcell, Dracula from Blade Trinity. For YouTube Horror, October 9th, I watched through The West Records, which apparently I thought it was finished, and I think it actually is finished. But what I didn't know was it doesn't have an ending. It just kind of stops. So that was kind of disappointing. October 10th. October 10th for Sexy Horror, I watched Mystery of the Necronomicon. Half a cheat because it was actually a 4-episode series, but the total running time was about 2 hours. It was a hentai anime about not Jeffrey Combs, Herbert West trying to live forever by sacrificing naked anime ladies.
As you do.
Now that's not their choice.
Yeah, October. I've had it on my shelf for years. I'd never seen it before. It was actually a lot of fun, and not nearly as hentai-y as you would expect from a hentai film. It was mostly just like a creepy, like mystery thriller.
So is that a plus or a minus?
Honestly, it was a plus because
Really
it's the sort of thing that, like, yeah, there's a handful of scenes with hardcore animated sex, but it's a good enough story on its own that it holds up on its own right that I'd be like, no, we're watching this.
I'm watching it for the plot.
Yeah, I'd be a group watch type thing with the right group. October 11th.
Never.
Maybe not with Never. Never's not the right group. Or is he? October 11th, creepy documentary. I watched Document of the Dead, which is kind of a making of Dawn of the Dead, and then proceeded to get added onto and kind of just follow George Romero as he made the other Dead films throughout the years. That was fun. Not super informative. I wouldn't say it's a particularly good documentary, but like it's cool just like seeing some behind the scenes footage of George Romero making those movies. October 12th for One You Loved as a Kid. Me and Fish watched The Gate, starring a very young Steven Dorff, summoning demons out of his backyard accidentally.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even remember that I watched that.
Oh yeah, I watched that. I watched the hell out of that as a kid. Like, I don't know how I found it, but I just remember seeing it numerous times as a kid and loving it.
Was on like TV as a kid.
I think so. I think they used to play it all the time.
Room.
Yeah. That must have been what it was, because I never owned a copy of it. I've still never owned a copy of it, but somehow I saw it a bunch of time. Yeah.
So I have to interrupt this for just a moment.
Okay.
I have to share my disappointment. Gray is on the couch.
Yeah.
And there's a that black blanket.
Yeah.
And she was cuddling up to it, and I thought it was Braxy.
Oh.
And then it wasn't, and I was sad.
They've been getting more cuddly as time goes on. Everyone like begrudgingly cuddly.
Right.
Let's see. October. That's all good. October 13th for found footage. Me and Fish watched Bad Ben. Which was
good.
It was surprisingly really fucking good. I knew nothing about it going in, but like it was quite the treat. The second one not so much. The second one was fun, but not nearly as good, I thought. But I'm still interested. Yeah, I know. I still want to watch the rest of them just because I'm like, yo, what the hell are you gonna do next, dude? For October 14th, horror movie that starts with a W. It was going to be Wishmaster. But randomly, I was looking for just something to watch that day. I remember, and I pulled up Shudder to skim through it. So many of these things were things that I just pulled off of Shudder or Amazon Prime, and they just added a movie called Wax Mask, which I knew nothing about, but it was apparently produced by Dario Argento. Was meant to be Lucio Fulci's final film, but he died during pre-production, so the guy that did a lot of the special effects for Fulci took over. It's a remake of House of Wax, the old Vincent Price movie, if you've seen that. It's basically a remake of that. It's pretty much the same story. Only it's done in that very Lucio Fulci, giallo, hyper gory, over the top style, which was a lot of fun. October 15th for horror comedy. Me and Fish watched Transylvania 65000, which
perfect
was a movie I remember seeing a lot as a kid, but I hadn't seen it in a number of years. Starting up that movie, I realized I knew I had seen it. I remembered nothing about this movie. But it was really, really good. October 16th for classic, I watched The Changeling with George C. Scott, which I'd always heard was a classic, but I don't think I had ever actually watched all of it. It was pretty good. Very slow, but when George C. Scott actually gets to start rolling and doing stuff, it's amazing, because that dude was just great. October 17th, Spooky Musical. Me and Neff watched Repo the Genetic Opera, but we kind of cheated since we had both seen the movie previously and seen it, like I at least had seen it a bunch of times. We watched it with the cast commentary, or wait, was it director and cast commentary on? Which was really cool.
It was what's his nuts? The guy who also produced Saw.
Darren Bousman. It was Darren Bousman, Alexa Vega, Bill Moseley,
and Sid. No, not Sid. I'm sorry. Ogre.
Ogre was on it too. But that was really cool. And now apparently there were several scenes that they just edited out for pacing reasons, and like an entire subplot involving Marnie. And the fact that Kettle, have you listened to the commentary on that one?
No. I haven't watched the DVD commentary in probably like 15 years. Fair
enough. I'm starting to get back into it because I missed doing it. I missed all the fun little things. So apparently, you know when Anthony Head, main guy. Nathan. When Nathan is singing like in the house in the hallway, and he's looking at that weird kind of holographic image of Marnie on the wall. That's actually Marnie's corpse behind the wall. And there was an entire subplot apparently involving Marnie's corpse behind the wall that they cut out. And I'm just like, I want a Repo director's cut now. Like I want to see this extra material and the extra story and everything like that. So that was really cool.
That was a good movie.
Yeah. October 18th for blindfold pick, I watched Last Shift, about a rookie police officer being left alone at a defunct police station, and then a bunch of creepy shit starts happening. That was good. October 19th for group watch, me, Fish, and Neff watched Body Bags, the John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper anthology movie from like the mid-90s, where John Carpenter plays an undead morgue attendant. It's amazing.
Yes.
October 20th for Infection, me and Fish watched Mayhem, starring Glenn from The Walking Dead.
Yes.
That movie was incredible.
I was awed.
Yeah, no, it was so, like, I had heard good things. It was so much better than I expected it to be. October 21st for Wrong Holiday, I watched Better Watch Out, which that one was on Shudder, and I remembered back when I did one of these, like, these first, like, horror talk show streams, I ran through that list of 100 best horror movies. It was number 100. And I hadn't even heard of the fucking movie. I had to pull up the trailer to see what the hell it was. So it was available on Shudder. I'm like, you know what? Trailer looked pretty cool. Let me give that a try. And it was good. It was funny. It was surprisingly pretty fucked up. It was a pretty good time. October 22nd, woman directed / led. We watched Hereditary, which was amazing. I now understand so much. I understand why so many people were talking about that movie when it came out, and why they said virtually nothing about the movie. I get it now.
Yep.
October 23rd for 80s horror. I watched a movie called Nightmare Weekend, wherein a bunch of attractive young women spend a weekend at an eccentric scientist's house for some reason, and he's conducting weird mind control, well, not mind control, but like behavioral corrective experiments, and he's paired up with an evil cutthroat bitch who's trying to use the experiment for her own designs. And all I know is the movie starts with two dudes, one of them being Dale Midkiff from Pet Sematary, attempting to break into some weird bunker lab place, only to get zapped by lasers controlled by a literal fucking Muppet. This Muppet just shows up in the first 5 minutes of the movies controlling the lasers. And with no context, it just starts happening. So it was very odd. It was a very odd movie.
Do you need context for lasers?
I need context for the Muppet. Is the thing. And you kind of get a half context for the Muppet, but it still doesn't make it any weirder. Where when like the main chick is like hanging out in her bedroom, just like chatting away with this Muppet that occasionally just fries people's heads with lasers.
Like, you don't do that on Saturday nights?
Look, we're not all, synth llamas, all right? I don't get invited to those kinds of parties. October 24th for Creepy Child, me and Neff watched Goodnight Mommy.
Oh my god.
Which that was a trip. It was one of those things. I had seen the trailer and it was simultaneously everything I expected based on the trailer and yet nothing like what I expected based on the trailer.
Oh my god, no.
Because they hide some shit in the trailer that is almost immediately clear in the movie, but you're just like, wait, what? And then it just like plays out from there. It's very odd and disturbing. October 25th for Aliens, I watched There's Nothing Out There, which is a meta horror movie from pre-Scream days where a group of horny teenagers go up to spend the weekend at one of their parents' like fancy cabins or like forest houses or something like that. And one of the teenagers in the group is a hardcore horror fan who immediately picks up all the signs that they are in a horror movie and tries to warn all his friends that there's danger afoot, and they all call him insane until suddenly the aliens come out of the woods and start like fucking with him. It was a lot of fun. October 26th for Disney Channel Original. Neff helped me out with this one because what'd you do? You got like the Disney streaming package thing free week or something like that just to do this.
I finally got to share a movie with you.
It's true. That movie was Halloween Town.
That's the pretty popular one I hear.
Yeah, and you know it's not my type of movie. I am not the demographic for Halloween Town.
I'm Disney Channel related. We are not the demographic.
Yeah, I might have been the demographic for Halloween Town, like when I was a kid, but like I've aged out of that bracket. But at the same time, like it was fine. Like it was an entertaining little fun movie with a bunch of like kind of live action Nightmare Before Christmas world type thing where every day is Halloween and everybody's like a monster or something like that, but they're all just like going about their lives.
But I think what was so awesome about that movie is that it was all practical. And I think that's honestly what stuck with me because
a lot of it was,
a lot of it was practical. There were some moments where you can't. They just didn't do practical.
Well, I think there was like some magic, like CG whoosh shit going on, but for the most part, like there's a cab driver in Halloween Town who's just a fleshless skeleton, and his face is like all animatronicked out, like it's got expressions, like it talks, like it was probably the coolest part of the movie.
It was the heyday of Disney original movies. I remember that coming 8 or 9 because it would have come out in like 98 or something like that, and I remember being enthralled and then just the makeup is amazing.
Yeah,
they did such a good job.
No, the effects were for a Disney movie, for a Disney Channel movie. The effects were actually really good. October 27th for Possession. Me and Neff watched Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
Oh my god.
Which everyone hates, and I get why you could hate that movie, but fuck you, I love it.
Way back in the day. I think I thought it was okay, but I never watched it when I was like 14, maybe.
I saw it back in the theaters when it first came out. Absolutely fucking hated it. Wound up catching it randomly years later on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I'm like, yo, I'm actually kind of digging this. Watched it again October 27th. I'm like, yo, no, I'm in. Like, I like this. Like, does it have flaws? Absolutely. It's got huge fucking flaws. But like, as a sequel to the Blair Witch Project, it's so fascinating that like the Blair Witch Project exploded in popularity the way it was, and they absolutely wanted to franchise it. They had video games and books and everything like that. And this is what
There's a new Blair Witch game, actually.
There is. It looks interesting. There's also a new Blair Witch movie, which I haven't seen yet. I've heard mixed stuff about that one. But like the fact that they went this brave with the weird fucking choices they took in that movie from just its conception, the fact that they went there, I think alone deserves a little bit of respect, even if you don't like the movie. Because they had a sure thing, and instead of like doing the tried and true, just like, okay, get 3 other random kids from a college campus, hand them some cameras and send them back out into the woods and just recreate the original. They're like, no, let's get fucking weird with this shit. And it's pretty good. It's got a great cast. There's some really good performances. So I will stalwartly defend Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
All right.
Even though I'm in the minority on it, I know. October 28th for release in the last year, I also watched Haunt. It was very good.
Yeah, all right.
October 29th. I actually skipped a day. I skipped a day to make up for the fact.
Yeah.
I skipped a day to make up for the fact that I had watched 2 in one day earlier.
Gotcha.
So I knew I was still in line, and I'm like, you know what? Let's make it fair. So I'm like, let me undo the cheating I did earlier in the month. So October 29th, I watched nothing. I don't even know if I watched any movies that day.
The Olympic Committee is still gonna grade that as a 30.
Well, yeah. Speaking of 30, October 30th, I'll get to it eventually. I watched Mandy, which
I remember you mentioned it, Mandy.
That was a glorious acid trip. And again, not simultaneously kind of like what I was expecting based on what I had seen and heard of it, and yet nothing like what I was expecting. But like in a really good way. And then October 31st for Black and White, Eraserhead, which I watched for the first time. And David Lynch is weird.
That's one that's been on my... That's another, like, I'll get to it eventually. For me.
Yeah. It's good, but it's from beginning to end, it is full-on David Lynch fucking weirdness. And the only thing I will really say about it is I now understand why that guy on the cover with the weird hair looks the way he does. I said I now understand why that goofy looking guy on the front cover of Eraserhead has the face he does.
Oh, okay.
Has that weird, like, kind of constipated expression. I get it now. It all makes so much sense. So yeah, that was my 31.
All right, nice. So I'd say that's a good quick hit and really kind of highlight reel as well. Do you want to maybe take a little break and we can come back and do awards and top fives? Because those are movies I'm sure we could probably talk a bit.
Yeah, that sounds good. Because my water cup is empty. We've all been sitting here for a little bit, so.
All right.
Yeah, we can do a break.
All right.
Do I understand or just know? I mean, I know. I don't know if you could fully ever understand David Lynch. I don't know if David Lynch fully understands his own movies. But I hit the deafen on that again. I'll be back, or we will be back in a few. Hang out, enjoy. Again, sorry for not super interacting with chat or reading everything, but just for the sake of keeping things moving, keeping a good conversational flow going. You guys are good. You can talk amongst yourselves, and I am keeping up with chat. I'm just not saying it. So be back in a few. All right, I am back. Let's see, at least Sniffy and Fish are back. So. Undeafen. Hello.
Hello? I have cat.
I see that.
She is the cutest.
Ah.
And I will not move her this time.
Just let the cat lie.
Look, I got a tail bracelet. Do you see that?
Will you kiss her and go? Rah, 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 rah,
She's like, not this shit again. Please, no. How dare you? I came up here in good faith, expecting cuddles and pets, and you start with this shit again? Come on.
She's so weird. She's like laying on my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And she also actively watches TV.
Oh yeah, she was pictures.
Really?
She does, yeah. She actively watched. She was YouTube with me like earlier this week.
Mm-hmm. She loves watching Northern Lion play Binding of Isaac,
Mm-hmm.
probably because there's like a little naked baby moving.
You both
like
keep cutting in and out.
Yeah, I lost that last part there.
I was talking about naked babies.
Oh.
Running around on a TV screen. My cat loves them.
Yeah, I love your little meows. Oh, perfectory.
Never have you remembered any of the movies you saw?
I have vaguely remembered watching movies, but not in any particular order. So the problem is
the order doesn't matter. Like if you remember.
So the problem is that the whole thing is set up as one a day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And first off, that's not happening. Not every day.
Yeah, it's a big ask.
So what ended up happening for this entire month is several days would go by, and I'd say, "Wait a second, I'm supposed to be watching horror movies." And so I'd try to find a horror movie to watch, and then I'd say, "Okay, great. I'll try to remember which one I watched." Several more days would pass, and I'd be back to, "Oh wait, I have to watch a horror movie. Wait, which movies have I already watched? Okay, I don't remember." The plus side, though, and this is something I do want to comment on with this entire list, is if we're talking about trying to cheat the committee here, I have found so many movies that actually just fulfill 5 or 6 categories at once.
Oh yeah, no, that was a huge part of at least my process going through, where like that was great. Like I don't know who came up with this list of categories, but they were actually kind of brilliant, because even for stuff like horror movie that starts with a W, and you're like, how many horror movies start with W? It's just Wishmaster. Like on the fly, or just like in a crunch, you could find something that like qualify. Like there were numerous, like Transylvania 65000. I watched it for horror comedy. It could have just as easily gone into What I Loved as a Kid. Or I think perhaps even 80s horror, because I think that came out in the 80s. It really didn't start getting tough until like it was in the last 3 or 4 days, where it's just like, I've only got 3 categories left.
I was also quite pleasantly surprised to find out just how many of the movies are women directed / led.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's a lot. Like if adding in that / led, there's a huge number of them available in. Because I mean, you could go with Halloween for that.
Boone?
Yeah.
Wasn't at one of the Exorcist films directed by a woman?
I don't think so, but I don't think so, because I know the first and third ones weren't. I honestly can't remember who directed the second one, so that would likely be the one, if any.
Yeah.
And then I think like the fourth one was weird because it had a director and it was a dude, and then the producers didn't like what he was doing with it, so they fired him last minute, did a bunch of reshoots with somebody else,
right,
and then released that movie, and then they wound up releasing both movies, like both cuts.
Also, were these supposed to be just? Oh, welcome back. Were these supposed to just be movies that we've never seen before, or were we allowed to rewatch things that we've seen before?
According to Kettle, it could be new stuff or rewatch stuff. Aside from the ones
it's free
that
game. Just doesn't fit the category.
Yeah, aside from the categories where it obviously couldn't go that way. Like I'll get to it eventually. If you're rewatching something for that, I don't think you're getting the sense of what that category is.
I mean, you could argue like, oh man, I really liked it. I'll get around to rewatching it. But
so even with that one, you can make an argument for it. That would probably work.
I just like to make arguments.
Yeah,
but there's
fun.
Movie you loved as a kid, so obviously
that's a rewatch. Yeah, there's that's probably the only obvious rewatch one. And I'll get to it eventually. It's probably the only obvious not rewatch one. But aside from that, from what Kettle said, there was no real guideline. Like, if you want to rewatch something, go for it. If you want to watch something new, go for it.
Well, I will say then that I don't know what category I'm sliding this into, but over the month of October, I ended up rewatching Reanimator. And I still find so much to love about that movie.
It's so good.
I haven't seen it yet. It is on the list for me to watch.
It's one of those movies that it's one of those movies that for several years I had held off on watching because I didn't know. I'm sure it's fine. It's just another horror flick. But watching it and then now recently rewatching it, I am amazed by how many little details are done so well.
Yeah,
it's got a little bit of kind of the classic horror movie feel with some of the classic horror movie plot points. It feels it's got a little bit of the Lovecraftian stuff mixed in it, but not enough where it's just purely Lovecraftian horror.
Yeah, it doesn't go dense into Lovecraft is because it's a Lovecraft story that it's based on, so it's present, but it's a more grounded Lovecraft. It's not that otherworldly abomination horror Lovecraft.
Right.
Yeah. And it's got that right mix of stuff in it where it's not just pure horror, it's not just pure shock horror and intensity. It's got a little bit of comedy. It's got a little touch of action, a little touch of comedy.
Oh, yeah.
All these little blends. And I think this is something we talked about before, is just how difficult it is to really classify something as a horror movie or not a horror movie.
Yeah, because it varies.
Because some of the best horror movies just incorporate things from other genres.
Yeah. Yeah, horror spreads its tentacles into everything else and just incorporates shit.
That's a horror movie right there.
Yeah, well, I think that's just the thing.
I will also say there's one other one that sticks out to me, and that was I guess I'll call it a YouTube original horror. It was a little short. I think I posted this in my Discord, but Steadfast Stanley. It's 5 minutes long.
I didn't see you post that, or if I did, I didn't click on it.
It's a while back now, but Steadfast Stanley is a little 5-minute short about really, I guess, centered around a dog, Stanley, and his adventures during the zombie apocalypse.
Oh, nice!
That actually sounds amazing.
Anime?
It's remarkably cute. It's got enough tension in it to keep you engaged, and like I said, it's 5 minutes. For me, that's perfect. I can take a short break, watch that whole thing, and say, "Good." Crossed off the list.
I actually, because I've got that list of every horror movie from the 1800s to modern times thing, I realized that you could sort that list by runtime. So for a week and a half there during October, I did that and just burned through all of them because they were all little short horror films that were available either on YouTube or Vimeo. So that was a lot of fun. There's a lot of crazy, a lot of samey stuff where it's just it just ends with ooh, boo, jump scare. Here's a creepy monster, and then there's a bunch of really creative stuff, and then a bunch of just interpret me art garbage as well.
It reminds me a lot of digging through creepypastas.
Yeah.
It runs that range. Like, you have to shovel through a lot of stuff that is variations on, and then there were demons.
Right. Yeah.
But buried in the pile are some really
good stuff. Yeah, there's some really amazing little short films out there. So I guess that leads into another question. The whole, like, could we rewatch stuff or not? Kettle, do you have handy, like, just a breakdown of, like, how many of the movies you watched in October were rewatches versus first time watches? Because I kept track because I was curious, and I'm a stats whore. So.
I understand that. I didn't think about that, but let me count real quick.
Okay. Because I think my original list had... I'm positive. My original list was mostly rewatches. The actual list wound up being only 10 rewatches and 21 new movies. Which was pretty freaking cool, honestly. It was nice
I did 11 rewatches.
Okay, so about even
20 new movies.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of the cool, like, meta game that I ran into going through the category, and I think why I was cool, like, switching stuff off of my list, because I'm like, yeah, I would love to rewatch this, and I totally will rewatch this, but, like, I could also just watch this other, like, so many of these movies could have easily slotted into the I'll get to it eventually category, because that's kind of the excuse I took. Where I'm just like...
Yeah, that's why I even signed up to do the thing. Now, I'll tell you something I did do was for my top 5, I intentionally did a top 5 that was only of new stuff that I watched. Because I kind of felt like the stuff that I rewatched was a lot of favorites, and I felt like that
it was unfair.
It didn't work out very well.
I didn't do that. However, looking at my top 5, it was all first time watches. So maybe I subconsciously kind of did the same thing.
Okay. Well, to that end, you want to jump into our, like, awards?
Our awards, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So,
drum roll, please.
Yeah. For my own scariest movie, and I guess this is where we can fucking talk about it, was Martyrs. Holy fucking shit. That movie. I'll go ahead and spoil most disturbing movie as well. Also Martyrs for me.
That's fair. Based on the list you read off, yeah. If it wasn't Martyrs, I would be very interested to know which one was.
I'd be like, oh no, that one was a real light, fun watch. But yeah, holy shit, man! Like, I had heard that it's a rough watch.
Oh yeah.
So the gist of it, start of the movie. Basically, a little girl getting the fuck beat out of her, tied to a chair. She escapes, but the people that do it get away. 15 years pass. Well, they go through they're in the orphanage, and there's
there's a brief period where she's in the orphanage and she meets the other girl.
She meets the other girl. Yes, they become best friends. Then, like, 15 years pass, and you're at this family's house. And you're like, oh yeah, normal family.
Yeah, typical white bread family. Everything normal here.
The girl shows up at their fucking house with a shotgun and just starts fucking murdering them. Because apparently it was them. But oh man, like, just like the tone. I mean, the tone of the movie was already pretty bad. But, like, I don't know when she went in there and started doing that. And there's the part where she's going after the, like, teenage daughter or whatever. She's under the bed and she's, like, firing straight down.
I don't even think that girl was a teenager. Was she? I thought she was younger than that.
I'm not sure. Children all look the same to
me. No, wait a second, because I think they had, like, a discussion at the breakfast table about going away for college.
Yeah,
that was the son. I thought.
Yeah, the son.
I think the girl was younger. Yeah, the son was older and the girl was younger, from what I remember.
But yeah. So she shows up and fucking murders all of them, and just, like, the way in which it's done is just like
it holds
I remember
nothing
like
back.
the kind of the music was it wasn't like a music. I think it was more of just like a tone that was going, kind of like that pulsing tone of just like dread. And oh man, that fucked me up and the whole thing was like that family had been in the newspaper because of like of the daughter's like accomplishment. I think it was like swimming or something.
Yeah.
And that's how the one girl, the abused girl, like found her. She's like, "That's them. I know it's them. I know it's them."
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, and from what I remember, like when she comes through that door with the shotgun, like you could probably infer that it's the little girl from the start of the movie, but like you don't even know who the fuck she is. I think like they don't.
That's true. Yeah,
they don't pre-establish that she just shows up and starts blasting these people, and it's like, what the fuck is this? All of a sudden, like what's happening? Man. Why?
I think that's probably part of what contributes to the horror. It's just there's not that lead up that lets you know that this is justified or
no, because they were having a nice fucking family breakfast and then they were all fucking dead.
Yep.
Oh man.
And that honestly, like that vibe of like, wait, now this is happening? What the fuck? Why? Like that persists throughout the rest of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also that you're flipping back and forth in terms of perspective about who's good and who's bad, because you're watching this take place, right? We've already been encouraged to empathize with the girl, and then now we're seeing her in a completely different light. And I think part of the disquiet is you're looking there, you're not entirely sure who you're rooting for, scene by scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then things just get worse from there. Like I don't know how deep you want to go into this.
Yeah, I don't want to do too much spoilers, but like that other lady that they find, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
The way that she becomes enlightened or whatever the fuck you want to call it at the end of the movie.
And then things got worse.
This is like what the shotgun massacre is like what probably within the first 10 minutes of the movie
15 minutes
and it just gets worse and more bizarre from there. And it does not let up until not even at the end does it let up. It just goes further and further and further.
I will throw out a criticism, which is it feels like it is several separate movies. It's almost like they'd be.
Yeah, I feel that because like the second half when like the I don't know, cult for lack of a better term shows up, like that's kind of like
it shifts gears. Yeah, it shifts gears probably like 3 or 4 times, and it does it like with no clutch.
I feel like it's almost like I've watched a series of separate indie movies that all take place in the same universe that have all just been stitched together into one film.
Well, because there's also,
but they're still connected.
They're still connected, yeah, I'll agree with that. But
it just like it flips shit on you, and it's like that movie doesn't give a fuck if it gives you cinematic whiplash.
No, yeah, because the tone changes too.
Yes,
like
it does.
The feel of the movie shifts dramatically from step to step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I mean, it takes you more spoilers, but when the other girl gets caught and then is subjected to the shit, it's like 20-30 minutes of that girl just getting the fuck beat out of her.
Yeah,
and it's like that was no a really long scene. I didn't really need that, but I mean, I get why they did it, but
right.
So yeah, that is both scariest and most disturbing movie for me.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah,
now I want to watch it.
I've got it on. That was one of the ones that I got from the record store. That was one of the ones I got from the record store.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I've got it on DVD, and it's a hard sit, but I would totally rewatch it because it was. I was like, it wasn't as bad for me as a Serbian film, but it's probably second place as far as like most impactful extreme horror movies that I've seen.
To be honest, I don't think I'll be able to find a movie that is as disturbing as the Serbian film.
No, Serbian film sets a pretty fucking high bar.
It's intense.
Yeah. So yeah, scariest movie for me, Hereditary.
Yeah, buddy.
And it honestly could also, it could also could have also been in most disturbing. But I gave that to another one. I didn't want to double up. And I had a perfect other choice for that anyway. But yeah, Hereditary. Holy shit. And again, I don't want to say shit about the movie because
it's a really hard one. It's just straight up hard to explain.
It is, yeah, but it's just.
So I think I can say this without getting too spoilery.
Yes, please.
The fucking end with where you see some shit in the shadows. I saw that movie in the theater and about shit myself.
Yep.
Holy fuck.
That and the only thing I'm gonna say to you, Kettle, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this one word. Ceiling.
Yeah,
that part.
I will say, as somebody who is skeptical about the movie going in, it unfolds so well.
It does.
Because it at first, when you get into it, when you first start the movie, in the very beginning, it kind of feels like, it's one of these general horror movies, and you're not quite sure what direction they want to take it. Right?
Yeah.
And you start to craft theories about how it could go or what it could be. And I feel like, especially if you watch a bunch of horror films, you get jaded. You get that kind of feeling.
Oh yeah,
I know every plot.
You get precognitive abilities. That's why I love a good twist in a movie that catches me off guard. Because chances are, even if it's got the twist, I've already thought of it 3 steps ahead because I've picked up all the pieces they've laid out. I'm like, oh, they're going for this.
See, and Hereditary.
Hereditary. I didn't know. Yeah, Hereditary. I didn't know where the fuck it was going, but I was along for the ride.
And it achieves that without just constantly throwing red herrings and breaking apart the plot. It progresses the plot so well.
It does.
And it makes sense as you keep progressing through it. And yet, I don't think that even hardened horror movie fans would be able to guess at how the ending would wind up from where the start of the movie is.
No. In fact, I think there was, because me and Fish watched that one, and I think there was a moment about midway through that I turned to her. I'm like, "Hey, remember when this movie was about spooky ghost shit?"
Yeah.
Because it had gone through so many different layers of shit by that point that the spooky ghost shit was a thing of the past. We weren't talking about that anymore.
No.
All this other crazy shit was going on. And it's
they put actual life stuff into it.
Yeah, wasn't there a haunting going on for a minute
I gotta say, the only thing that annoyed me about that movie was his son and the way he cried.
Oh yeah.
I was so pissed off by the way he cried. I was just like, "Oh my god, you cry like a 3-year-old."
The only thing that annoyed me about that movie was also the son, but it wasn't the way he cried. It was the fact that he is so obviously not the same ethnicity as his parents, and they make no mention of it once. They don't say, "Oh yeah, you're adopted" or anything like that. But I'm just like, your father's not, and your mother's not, but you're so clearly what? How did this happen? I think Mama's got some explaining to do with this one.
And without throwing any spoilers out, there was one part of the movie where you're just you're sitting there and you're like, okay, and then bam, that thing happens, and you're sitting there and you're like,
that thing.
What?
I think that just not even speaking of any specific point, I think that just describes Hereditary. You're just sitting there going okay, wait, what? That's Hereditary just again and again and again.
And when
those
thing
moments
happens, you see in his eyes, maybe it's okay.
I'm not, yeah, and that didn't happen. I dreamed it, and I'm like, why does nobody ever talk about anything in this family? She's gonna blow up at some point.
Problems.
Oh yeah, no, that was abundantly clear throughout the entire movie.
That was a plot point. That was intentional because I was sitting there going, she's gonna explode. She's gonna explode and she's gonna lose her goddamn mind. And then there it was, and I was like, okay, that was kind of cathartic for me.
And I think that's part of the magic is the movie makes sense. Like
It does.
all the parts of the movie come together, and you're taken through this panorama that's not just that's why you can't just classify it as like, oh, it's a ghost film, or it's a like slasher film, or anything along these lines. It progresses through almost every single genre of horror film, and stitches them again together in such a nice way. And that's kind of why I want to draw that contrast against Martyrs, where Martyrs I feel like I'm just suddenly somewhere else.
The the tonal shifts are jagged, and I think it's intentional in Martyrs. Like it's meant to like kind of make you go, what we're doing this? What are we doing now? What's going on? Whereas Hereditary, those edges are polished, like glistening, like you can't even see them.
But I think that's part of where Hereditary's real magic comes in, is because you're slowly sinking deeper and deeper into the story, and you don't even realize where the shifts are occurring until suddenly you're at the end of the movie and you look back and you say, how the heck did we get here?
Like I feel like I still had those same moments of like, wait, what the fuck is happening now? But it was well past the transition point.
Right.
Like it transitioned so smoothly that I didn't notice, and suddenly we're somewhere completely fucking different. But you didn't notice because it's just so smooth, and suddenly it's like, wait, what? Wasn't there a dead ghost mom somewhere? Like what's going on?
Right.
Like, so yeah, no, it's.
And then again, that point, wasn't this a ghost movie?
Yeah,
no.
yeah, like. No. So yeah,
onion.
So without going into spoilers at all, like, because I know there's apparently some derision on the ending. Like there's people that are like, I get that ending, that makes perfect sense, and then there are apparently other people that are like, movie was great up until that dumbass ending. Like, where do you guys fall?
I see that too. I thought it was a good ending for the movie, but I can see where people are like,
I thought it was an appropriate ending for the movie, given the way that the movie sets itself up. I think the challenge is that because the scope of the movie is so broad, you don't really ever feel like you got proper resolution, just because it feels like I've gone and watched a whole miniseries through the course of the movie.
Yeah.
And then I don't think there is any way that you could wrap it up in a nice, neat package and have it feel satisfactory. And honestly, I don't think it would be I think it is better for the fact that it's not satisfactory.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I think the fact that it ends the way it does is, for what came before it in the rest of the movie, is like incredibly fitting. It's like, oh, of course. And also, what the fuck? Like, because that's the vibe they were going through for the entire movie, and they hit it perfectly.
I would like to see, though, if there were like a little short on what came after.
Yeah, like a little epilogue type thing would be interesting, or maybe it would ruin it.
Where are they now?
It's tough. Yeah, we're 10 years later.
It's the sort of movie that could have a sequel. I don't know exactly what would be in it, and I don't think it'd be the same thing.
It would be like, maybe not super directly related, but you could do something indirectly related to it.
Same universe.
Yeah, you can do a continuation type thing for sure. All right. What was the other
scariest movie?
Scariest movie. What was the?
So that was what we just did. Oh, what? I wasn't sure if we were moving on.
Yeah. And you said Martyrs was scariest and what, most disturbing?
My most disturbing, but the second one I have here on the spreadsheet, and these are in no particular order, by the way. Right. Anybody watching, was worst movie. The worst movie for me was Dracula versus Frankenstein.
What is Dracula versus Frankenstein?
I thought maybe it could be like kind of campy and fun.
Yeah. It sounds like that. Was it like a Hammer horror type thing, like 60s, or was it?
Yeah, it was. I think it came out in the early 70s, filmed throughout the 60s, because there were like, this was apparently some kind of like cutting room floor hodgepodge of a movie.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah, with that kept running out of money throughout several years of filming. To the point where like they would lose actors because they're like, no, I'm not going to work on that fucking thing. Like,
you guys didn't finish that yet?
Yeah,
fuck off. I'm working at Arby's.
The guy that plays Dracula is the worst actor on the fucking planet. After doing some research on it, apparently the guy was like a day trader who just like knew the director and was like, "Yeah, you can be in this. Who cares?" There's some kind of like Nazi biker gang subplot.
Makes sense.
That doesn't really go anywhere. They rough some people up throughout the movie, but never really. I think Frankenstein whoops them later. I can't remember. It was that bad. I don't even remember the plot. It was fucking garbage. Like,
Kettle's like, I pushed.
it doesn't even have like
so
funny redeeming things like the one with the Bigfoot ripping off a dinger. That was funny. Like, but that would, man, what a stinker. I don't have much to say on it, like other than just like, yeah, it's just, man.
This is
this is so bad
movie.
it's bad.
It's so bad it's
it
fucking
really
garbage.
Have any redeeming value.
I gotta admit though, I'm looking at the poster for it now, and I mean the poster is it must be a lie because the poster's actually pretty cool.
Based on the poster,
love tramps seduced by creatures from the grave,
and plus the Frankenstein doesn't even really look that good either. Like,
yesterday they were cold and dead, today they're hot and bothered. It sounds like a sex comedy movie with Dracula and Frankenstein.
Yeah,
that director really needed funding.
It sounds amazing, but apparently it's not that.
It looks like it's not even Frankenstein's original monster. It's like one of Frankenstein's monsters.
Yeah, it's
the
because
last one.
There's like an old guy that's like
it's the rejected one.
There's like the great grandson of Frankenstein or some shit.
Like, I love the synopsis of this. It doesn't sense.
It does not translate well.
Judith Fontaine is looking for her sister Joni, who has disappeared into the hippie community of Venice, California. It turns out Joni has become the victim of Groton, an axe-wielding homicidal maniac working for Dr. DeRay, who is really the last of the Frankensteins and is now running a house of horrors by the beach and is performing experiments on Gordon's victims. And one night, Dracula visits the doctor. The original Frankenstein.
This sounds like it would have been like the drunken pitch meeting.
Yeah.
Like, this just sounds like some guy who's like way too drunk and way too high is like, pitch me a movie, Sonny. He's like, all right, so here's the thing.
But the best part about
and
it
then
is that
this
Fox
happens.
revives it and uses it to take revenge on his professional rivals.
Speaking of,
and then Dracula shows up. You know,
so it was like
kids love Dracula.
Lon Chaney Jr.'s last movie.
Oh no!
And
poor
it was
Lon.
when he was still like just drinking all the time.
Yeah.
And the reason his character has no lines in the movie because he literally could not talk during that time because of being so drunk and because some kind of throat cancer. Like,
fun. Yeah.
It is a fucking weird movie. And then the Frankenstein doctor guy was like, you see him in the movie and he's in a wheelchair, you might think, oh wow, that really adds to the aesthetic. Actor was literally in a wheelchair.
They cast for authenticity, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why bother buying a prop wheelchair and getting some able-bodied asshole to sit in it all day when you could just hire a guy in a wheelchair from the start? He comes with the wheelchair.
I mean,
he'll be able to effectively sell a man who can't use his legs or his wiener.
Yeah.
J. Carroll Nash.
He's Naish.
Naish?
Naish.
Naish Bridges?
Yeah. But yeah, you can read the synopsis and chuckle, but I assure you, like, it's an hour and a half of pretty much just pain.
The synopsis is far more entertaining than the movie. That's unfortunate.
It's because in the movie you have to watch them do all that. You can't just read it.
That's the best endorsement for reading I've ever heard. Fuck this movie bullshit. In movies, you gotta watch them do all this stupid bullshit. You should just read more. And you get to read about them doing stupid bullshit.
So that was
exclamation
my
point
absolute
books.
worst movie.
There's a bunch of trivia for this movie on IMDb.
It sounds like if there was like a retro making of, like, dissection of the creation of this movie, it sounds like it would be vastly more entertaining than the actual movie itself.
I love one of the comments said Dracula wasn't the only thing that sucked in this movie.
Not at
all. So wait, what was that? Worst movie? Worst movie? For me was Carved the Slit-Mouthed Woman.
Ditto.
Terrible.
That's
Which
bad.
It was. Yeah.
Honestly, like, so I didn't like. I think I gave it a 6 out of 10. But even then, that was the lowest ranking. Like, of all of, like, thankfully speaking, I watched a lot of good movies last month. But yeah, Carved the Slit-Mouthed Woman. It was plotting. It wasn't scary. The plot was kind of all over the place.
They didn't do the lore right.
They got the lore wrong. They switched out the actual, like, legend of the Slit-Mouthed Woman and transplanted some bullshit nonsense on top of it for, like, no real discernible reason.
Fucking kid had the aim of a stormtrooper.
Yeah, the kid does the kid, and then, you know, later on the grown ass adult didn't know how to cut someone's head off because he didn't know where the neck was, apparently.
Which makes me really sad because the Slit-Mouthed Woman is, like, one of my favorite Japanese folklore.
Yeah, she's super creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And she really is. And that it was Japanese made and they botched it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's such a shame.
Like, damn, guys.
When
Like,
I
there's-
expect Japanese horror, I expect something like more getting you to the core because of the folk that's there.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. That was terrible.
And it was, and, you know, the Japanese, honestly, like, they make amazing, like, ghost haunting movies, like The Ring, The Grudge. There's a slew of other ones. Like, they're all really creepy, and, like, they've got great atmosphere and everything like this. This movie had no atmosphere.
Didn't
like-
I have a conversation with you both about, like, you were both telling me, like, Japanese culture itself, there are certain things that you can't do, so that they do it in more creative ways, and I think that's what makes it more horrifying for me than
So
what
yes,
this was.
so yes, I think I remember the conversation you're referring to. However, that conversation was about their pornography.
Oh, well then never mind.
And the fact that they cannot show genitalia, so they got around that by, instead of having a bunch of dicks everywhere, it's just tentacles. That's not a penis. That's a tentacle. We don't have to blur
It's
that.
different.
It's different.
Never mind.
But I think you might be merging, like, two different conversations, because the other one is in Japanese culture, one of the scariest things to them, and why all of the ghost movies primarily involve around the ghost is always a pissed off woman. Because the concept of a woman that powerful is utterly terrifying to them.
Right.
So that's why they're doubly, those types of movies are doubly effective over there.
I also really appreciate that a lot of the Japanese horror films and horror stories revolve around social convention and violations of protocol.
Yes.
Either stuff that you should know and the characters mess it up once or twice, or things that there's no earthly way that you would ever know what the proper protocol is. It kind of reminds me of a lot of the folklore legends around the Fae.
Oh,
Yeah.
Neff would probably know more about that than I would.
Yeah, honestly, they based a lot of their horror on what are they called? See, now I can't remember. My brain is so fried right now.
Uh-oh.
Apparently I've reached the fried
Friday
means for brain. But yeah, they base it a lot on, like, and it's not so much even that they're just malevolent evil. Sometimes
like
they
the
have
demons?
a purpose. Yeah, like sometimes they have
I can't remember the Japanese term for them, but they're essentially different kinds of demons.
Yeah.
But they're not always like evil demons. Like, sometimes they're just like little tricksters, and sometimes they're helpful.
Yeah, sometimes they're helpful. Sometimes they happen to be the way the world. Sometimes they are just bad.
They're just dicks.
Bad in quotation marks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what really bothered me about Carved was just that, like, there really was no rhyme or reason, and then, like, because usually there's a reason for why they are the way they are.
Oni,
not because,
thank you, Midas.
Yeah, Oni.
I thought the Oni were a particular type.
Yeah.
I think
demons?
Oni is...
Because I kind of remember yokai as being...
Yokai and Yurei.
Yeah, there are different... Yeah, there are different types of Japanese creatures, I guess, is what you could call them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's either, like, there's a rhyme or a reason. Like, not because your mother's like fucking trying to kill you. It's you know, it's the family house burnt down, or they were murdered horribly. Like, there was no classic, like, Japanese, and it wasn't done in a good way, so it wasn't, like, satisfying. But, like, with Japanese films, either give me Takashi Miike or give me fucking, like, classic folklore.
Yeah.
Like, don't, like, they have such a beautiful culture and beautiful storytelling to pull from that one, it could have been done so much better.
Oh, it could, because the source material was already terrifying, and then they took that and they made every single appearance, like, they showed her throughout the entire movie, and every time you see her, it's always in broad daylight, no atmosphere. It's just some lady with contacts and some facial scars just standing out in the middle of a park in broad daylight, and there's just no atmosphere whatsoever. There's no creep factor. It's like, yeah, she's kind of weird looking, but whatever.
I think that the slit-mouthed woman is really one of the great modern urban legends.
Yeah.
From recent years that kind of carries forth the legacy of a lot of the things that we're used to with, like, older urban legends, and just adapts it for the modern age, right?
There's apparently a sequel.
Oh, all right.
A sequel.
Maybe it's better.
Carve 2, The Scissors Massacre.
Oh, is that based on the schoolgirl?
Oh,
I have no idea, but
it's
Kuchisake Onna 2 is what it's called in Japan.
Oh, good.
Well, at least they kept the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say I'm going to go and watch that.
I mean, I'll watch it, but I'll watch anything.
There is a Japanese version of this movie where it's different than the one we watched from what I'm reading. So I wonder if that's any better.
Probably not, because the one we watched was Japanese.
It was Japanese. It was subtitled and everything.
Let me see.
So if it was like an American cut, like, I would assume they would have dubbed everything.
To bring up a movie that I think I probably should have watched during the 30 Days of Horror, because as we're talking about this, it's bubbling back to my memory that this is on the list. Noroi, The Curse.
I've heard of that. Never seen it.
Yeah, neither have I, despite realizing that I probably should have watched it as one of the 30 Days of Horror.
Yeah. There's always next year.
But definitely something that I want to check out. That's Noroi, I believe.
Yes, that sounds right. Yeah. What's the next category?
Most disturbing, which for me again was Martyrs, so we hit that one already.
Yeah.
For me, that would have been Goodnight Mommy.
That is my pick for most disturbing.
And I don't want to, like, Hereditary, spoil it.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it gets uncomfortable. It gets uncomfortable. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to do the basic premise as portrayed by the trailer, which is a mother returns home to two young boys, her children, having just had some form of facial reconstructive surgery. So she's wearing, like, a weird, like, mask on, and the children more and more begin to suspect that she's not really their mother. And More and more disturbing things unfold as a result of this. There's another. There is another element which I will not disclose.
Right.
Needless to
right
say,
there, that's weird enough for me.
In reading up about it, people walked out of the showings and the theater.
I can see it. Like, yeah, it's.
There are some uncomfortable bits in there, like really uncomfortable.
It gets super.
The acting is top notch. By the way, it is subtitled. It's in German.
It is, yeah.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so good. Like it's up there, like because for me.
Wait, you cut out. It's up there with what?
Babadook for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you said you were going to tie in Babadook.
Oh wow, Babadook.
Yeah, Babadook.
Actually,
I watched. This shit was creepy.
Babadook was creepy as hell. Yeah.
I found it kind of heartwarming, to be honest.
You would.
I thought it was more. Yeah, it was more kind of uneasy and creepy, less like, scary.
Yeah.
Well, I guess like it's unsettling.
Yeah, unsettling. That's
unsettling. Yeah, like it was very unsettling. It was ones where it reminded me of one of the stories out of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It took me as I hated that child. Oh my god, did I hate that child?
Did you just be normal?
Right?
There was
actor ever.
I took such a turn on that kid like a couple of times in that movie because originally like you first see him and he's like making these weird MacGyver contraptions, and I'm like yo, this kid's pretty cool, and then the kid proceeds to be like what he is for the majority of that movie, and I'm like, I now understand why some mothers drown their children. I get it. It's not okay that they do it, but I understand what got them there. I get it now. And then he circled back around. I'm like, no, this kid's cool again.
If I may interject about another movie real quick. When we were watching 28 Days Later, and there's the whole they show up at the military base, and it's like, oh, I promised them women or whatever. I was watching that with my girlfriend, and I was kind of like, I can kind of see how that would happen. She's like, fucking excuse me? I go, no.
I don't condone it. I wouldn't be a part of it, but I can see how this would come to be.
This is horrible, period.
Yeah.
But with society collapsing like that, I could see it happen.
I could see this, some fucking asshole doing something like that for sure.
But anyway, I just want to interact with that because that was a funny memory of the 30-day challenge for me.
Yeah.
I just want to jump back to my original statement. Humans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But most disturbing definitely was Goodnight Mommy. I recommend everyone.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Sitting through. I will watch through it again. Like it was disturbing, it was unsettling, it made me really uncomfortable, but I loved it.
Let's put that on the list because I want to watch that.
And I want to watch Martyr now because I need to slowly ramp up to a Serbian film. I'm getting there.
I mean, Goodnight Mommy, Martyrs, a Serbian film like that. From Goodnight Mommy to Martyrs it's a big jump.
Right? No. And I mean,
it's a big jump.
I feel like we should have a separate challenge that's just the gauntlet, where it's a steady ramp up of movie by movie.
It shouldn't be 31 days.
Is it?
No, not 31. It'll be 60 days, motherfucker.
Isn't Requiem for a Dream on that list?
Requiem for a Dream is usually on that,
and that's
those types of lists.
Yeah. With my history, for some strange reason, I can watch that over and over again. Yeah, like I can, and I don't.
I only watched it once. It didn't bother me like it did some people.
Well, like, so as someone who's previously suffered or currently still suffers from like an eating disorder, that fridge scene is terrifying.
As someone who has never suffered from an eating disorder, that movie made me terrified of a fridge. Like they found a way to make me terrified of a refrigerator, and holy shit.
But I think the reason why I loved like Requiem for a Dream so much is because for addicts, they got it.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's why I love it so much, and I can watch it on repeat because it's like, you guys get it. You guys get it. oh my God, you guys get it. You did it right. Like, this isn't over exaggerated. It's not prolonged. It's 2 hours. I can sit through it. So when I feel the need to like, kind of, I guess like as a coping mechanism is for me to like shove my face in it. Like it just makes it easier, and it's so unsettling. And at times it's just like, yes, this is where the anxiety can go. And I think that's where horror comes in. Like,
funny connection to Requiem for a Dream and that fridge scene is in Tiny Toons, and I remember this.
This is quite a shift.
That is a.
There was a nod to it where Hammy, he has a very like fever dream that's quite like that. And it's really freaky.
Isn't it nice how they really give children the same experience?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's how cartoons used to be. Like, there was like references to all sorts of like really adult shit. And I'm not even just talking about like, you know, sexual overtones and perversion. But like there would be references to like The Shining and like all these, like Jason and Freddy even, where it's just like it's in a like these are rated R hardcore horror films, and you're just gonna draw a cartoon of them and put it next to Bugs Bunny? What the fuck are you doing? But it works. Hamilton Hog.
Yep.
Patrick, hi.
Movie
Probably
you think you could survive?
Movie you think you could survive?
All of them, because only humans die.
I went
What about
with
when the grid goes down, motherfucker?
Oh shit! It's got backup generator.
I went with, for movie you think you could survive, I went with Q, the Winged Serpent, because one, I don't like New York, so it's very unlikely that I would be there in the first place. However, I went a step further. I'm like, however, if I had been in New York at the time Quetzalcoatl was flying around biting random rooftop sunbathers' heads off, I would not be at the top of any fucking buildings because I don't like heights. So I would be safe.
Doubly safe.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I could survive Hereditary because the whole comic.
I'm not in that family.
The whole movie.
Right?
No.
Well, that was
even if I was like half of the shit that happened in that movie, my jersey was coming out. I started to get really Italian on those motherfuckers.
There'd be some shit that started happening too. You'd be like, "Well, I'm gonna go to a fucking therapist."
That was honestly like why this category was a little bit tough for me, because I'm going down the list and I'm just like, Castle Freak. I could probably survive Castle Freak because I didn't inherit any Italian castles this week, so I'm good.
But I was pretty much like, honestly, I was pretty much like, yo, I'm a communicator. I would have been like, this is fucker. This is what just happened. I'm not okay. Like, please help me.
I went with the movie Little Monsters.
Okay, that was the zombie apocalypse thingy.
Zombie kind of comedy one.
Yeah,
with Lupita, that one lady from Us.
Okay, yeah.
So it's Australian film.
Right.
Let's see. I got the Wikipedia open here, just for making it easier.
Yeah.
Dave is a foul-mouthed, washed-up musician who goes through a rough breakup with his girlfriend, forced to stay with her sister and son. Drops the kid off at school, notices, oh, hey, teacher, Lupita. Kind of starts, like sucking up or whatever. And then he ends up chaperoning a field trip for them to like a little like petting zoo corn maze type thing, like tractor rides and shit. And zombie thing breaks out from, of course, a United States Army base next door.
Yeah.
That just
happens
next door.
These things happen.
That's how she goes.
That's how she fucking goes, bud.
It was really fun in that regard, and also, if I'm like one of the little kids and follow the teacher's lead, you're okay. It's fine. You know, she's great, like a great leader in that movie. Like, and it's just like, it's fun, it's heartwarming, it's funny, it's got like some suspense, and also, what's that character's name? Oh yeah, Teddy McGiggle.
What the fuck?
he's like a kid's entertainer or whatever who happens to be like filming some stuff at the petting zoo place that day. So he also gets involved, and you have kind of the juxtaposition of the kids seeing like the real guy, because like when he curses, they'll be like bad word. So it's kind of stuff like that. So it's got like little moments of humor and stuff. Like very, very good movie. Kind of just found it through Googling because I was just trying to find like new movies from this year, but that actually fit really well into my female-led movie.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask Kettle, because I'm sure you could survive the zombies, but could you survive being locked in a classroom with a bunch of kids?
Yeah. Wait. I don't. I think I missed. Why do you think you could survive it? I guess. Because I think I missed that part.
Yeah, it's slow moving zombies.
Yeah.
They're kind of dumb and distractible. Basically, oh, it feels like it's like the slowest paced zombie movie, because like if it's like 28 Days Later zombies, I'm fucking dead day one.
Oh yeah.
But like these guys, I could maybe survive.
See,
Plus, it was just like from the neighboring army base, so it's not like a global
epidemic.
It's not an epidemic. It's just like because there's actually a joke in the movie where they're like, "Oh shit, it happened again." Like, when the backup is coming in, like
I would never survive any zombie movie. It's just nope.
See, I figured you were gonna say you could survive it because you're just like, I've already got a girlfriend. Fuck chaperoning these kids on a field trip. I'm out of here.
No, see, when I was thinking about like I could survive, I think about as like being myself, but like the protagonist, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. That's I tried to do that.
I did inherit an Italian castle, and whatever the fuck happened there, you know.
That's what kind of led me to narrowing it down. But I mean, at the same time, like there are probably a few exceptions. But if I was the protagonist in any of these movies, like they usually make it out. So
I would be the worst protagonist. Shorter, whatever. There's zombies. Okay, bye.
So, Kendall, with since you sent me your movie list before this started, so one thing I'm surprised that you didn't pick as most survivable is Roswell, the UFO cover-up.
Oh, yeah.
He put himself in the place of the alien, and he's like, I'd get cut up so fast.
There's some good aliens that died in 1947. I guess I didn't really consider that one, you know, because that one's like, it's not really horror, it's just like alien themed.
Right.
I mean, that's like, yeah, I could be Kyle MacLachlan's character, because his whole thing is like, the stuff happened in the 40s, and they're having a reunion like 20 years later in the 70s, and he's like, basically they laughed at him for it for like the whole time. Nobody fucking believes him, and he kind of keeps like bringing it up, but he kind of gets closer to the truth.
The truth is out there.
It is out there.
So I think the one that I would be able to survive would be Phantasm.
Oh.
Ooh. Let's hear this.
If I see an old ass man picking up a coffin by himself, I'm gonna back away. I'm sorry, common sense says
you're not gonna go in, you're gonna be like,
no.
Pack up the cats, we're moving. We're getting the fuck out of here. There's a tall man lifting fucking full caskets at the graveyard. We're out.
We're done. He is old. He is senile. He's like 73. And I am not messing. I'm not poking that. I know when to poke the bear, and that is not that moment. Also, I don't want a flying spear with blades coming out of my face. I don't want to deal with that. And it's just, it's like, I wouldn't break into things. I'm done. No, I'm sorry. I'm in the bushes. I see this tall man lifting a coffin all by his lonesome. Fuck that shit. I'm out.
It's like that scene in Silence of the Lambs. If you see a guy with a broken arm trying to put something in his van in the middle of the you drive on. I keep singing American Horses.
Yeah, fuck the handicapped. Fuck them. They can lift their own furniture.
Exactly. I don't want to become a size 16 suit. Screw you. I don't care what you look like and what you would do to yourself. But that brings me to Texas Chainsaw, because we all did watch that in October.
We did.
And like, guys, I just gotta say, and I say this to all my friends, if we're ever on a road trip together and like we find this house and like people start putting us on hooks, run and don't come back for me until you have actual help.
Yeah.
Because what are you gonna do? Save me and kill yourself too? It's not. This isn't. You're not getting altruism points. Get out of here. It's Bubba.
Gotta unhook you though.
Yeah. No.
I got it daily. Leave me alone.
Yeah. No. Phantasm all the way. Like, because honestly, all of that can be fuck alone. Whatever he's doing, I don't care. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Patrick's completely unaltruistic.
Oh my god. See, I would not come back. Like I would want to come back for you, but I would not come back until I at least have a shotgun.
I mean, don't even come back with the shotgun. Get a bigger chainsaw.
No.
Bigger chainsaw.
I don't know how to work a chainsaw. I know how to work a shotgun.
Room. That's how you work a chainsaw.
No, it's much more difficult than that. I've been
It's really not.
No, it is.
This sounds like the start to Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh my god, so good. So good.
That reminded me though, like the Australian movie you just brought up reminded me that Boone, you need to, like, if you want to see something disturbing, watch Feed. And I think I've recommended it to
that is on my list of
the Australian cast, and it's like
fucked up horror movies I still need to watch.
Alex McLaughlin is just, it's fucked up in the rights that Alex McLaughlin just doesn't look good as a blonde, and he
that's the only reason the movie is disturbing.
No, that's not the only reason.
This man bleached his hair.
Like, why
he looks ridiculous.
Look so weird and creepy and sickly, you crazy man.
So yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next category?
Most forgettable movie, which for me was that fucking Disney garbage, man. It was something about like a kid and his family. Some of them could be ghosts. He kind of went to the other world, but he also did some dumb like magic trick bullshit because he's trying to impress his crush, and they're all like in middle school. I know I'm not the target audience. I watched it on my other, I wouldn't even say I watched it, to be honest. It was on my other monitor while I was browsing Reddit one day and was just crossing it off the fucking list.
It's just moving on.
Because I knew that I probably wasn't going to really enjoy it anyway, so... And I'm certainly not going to watch it again.
Yeah. Most forgettable for me, and it's a crime that this is the most forgettable one, but it had to be the most forgettable, because as I was going through my list of movies trying to like pick stuff out and everything like that, I came to the name of it, and it took me a minute to remember which one it was. Oh. And as I slowly remembered which one it was, I was like, oh right, I did watch that. Nightmare Weekend. The absolutely batshit insane one with the killer Muppet.
Oh.
And there are a lot of weird, crazy elements in it that, as I was watching it, I remember being like, this is magnificent. In just its sheer batshit insane, like, all over the place nonsense that it's just throwing at me. But I think what wound up making it kind of forgettable is the fact that the second half of that movie just completely falls apart. Like, suddenly... Like suddenly it gets like really slow and plotting and nothing much happens. And then when it gets up to the climax and all these like hot girls are turning into killer mutant creatures and killing everything in sight, they apparently lost all of the light bulbs on set because everything is filmed in like murky, complete darkness. You can't see shit. And the continuity of the movie just completely falls apart. Like, even more so than it already was with all the weird shit that they were adding in. They just kind of didn't just stitch things together.
So it kind of sounds like everybody just went on break for the latter half of the movie.
Yeah.
Like the set crew just kind of left and didn't flip the lights on.
It kind of just felt like they're like, well, we need to finish the movie tomorrow. So just stick it all together and send it to print. Like, who cares?
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, the amount, like, it was such a letdown because the first half was just so full of weird ideas and concepts and just going there with, like, unapologetically going there and forcing you along with for this weird ride that they were taking you on, that I was like, yo, I'm into this. And then by the end, like, that level of care and detail just was just gone by the end. And I think that's why when I went back through the list, I'm like, wait, which one was that? And I got it confused with I was like, wait, was that the one with the meta one with the horror fan? No, that was There's Nothing Out There. I remember that movie. So just by proxy, it had to be the most forgettable one.
Boone, what did we watch when we watched Hellraiser? What was the other movie?
We watched Hellraiser. Hellbound.
The bowling one.
We watched Hellbound. You're talking about Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
Shit, what? Hold on. I have a super list of movies. Well, I mean, letterboxed. I have letterboxed. Let me see.
Oh no, we disappeared.
Oh, that's changing your cams there for what you have set up there for.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Fortunately, it's just your letterbox.
Yeah.
But now we know.
You already knew.
Yeah, I think we're friends on Letterboxd.
Yeah, probably. No, with Hellbound, we followed that up with Phantasm.
Right. We watched a third movie that day.
Halloween Town.
Yeah, that's my forgettable movie then, apparently. I was like, we watched 3 movies that day.
And then
Halloween Town is my most forgettable, apparently.
Yeah.
To keep it rolling here, one I won't watch again. Kind of already spoke on it. That Night of the Demon Hunting for Sasquatch, kind of funny, dick ripoff. But like, if I want to see that again, I can probably find the clip on YouTube. Like, it wasn't very great, but it's fine.
Yeah,
not much to say on it really, other than that.
For me, the one I won't watch again. And again, nothing against the movie itself, just I'm not the demographic. I saw it the once. Halloween Town.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. If you've got kids, show it to them. It's a treat. But personally, unless I got to do another one of these, in which case, maybe I'll watch Halloween 2 or something. I don't know.
Like a 30-something-year-old guy being like, man, I fucking love Halloween Town.
Yeah, that informed the authorities. We've got a crew.
Yeah. Same with the one that I watched. If somebody's like, that's one of my favorite movies, I'd be like, you're a fucking pedo.
Well, I could see it being some like someone our age's favorite movie if they grew up with it and it was really near and dear to their heart.
Fair. But if they saw it when they were like 35,
if they saw it for the first time at my age and they're like, it's the best movie ever. It's like, really? Man. You've seen other movies, right? Or are you just very creepy?
Yeah.
I can practically hear the tongue flicker with that.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was moving on. If you have more, because
I
was like, I'm not watching it again. I don't want to talk about more about it.
Right. So I think the one I wouldn't watch again.
Oh, you cut out big time.
Oh,
which one would you watch?
So the one I wouldn't watch again, or at least I'd have a hard time watching it again, would be Castle Freak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good movie.
It's a great movie, but it's a surprisingly tough sit.
Yeah, it is, and I think it hit
is bleak
home.
Horror.
Yeah, it hit home really hard, like internal family issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, no, can't do, and like the internal family issues was too much.
In a lot of ways, Castle Freak is a family horror film. Only you really don't want to sit down with your kids and your grands to watch it. It's not that kind of family horror.
Like, I remember it actually made me, and I this movie makes me really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good. I endorse it. Watch it. I just had a hard time sitting through it.
Yeah, that's fair. What about you, Fish? You got it? You got one?
Bad Ben 2, if I had to choose any.
Yeah.
It just wasn't as good as the first one, and
it wasn't.
Because the guy was really in it.
Yeah.
Because he's what pulled me into the first.
Oh, he made that movie amazing.
Typical Jersey dude, because it was filmed in Egg Harbor, and he was typical Fuck you, ghost. You ain't gonna ghost me. I'm gonna fucking ghost you, ghost. Like, fuck
it was
grave.
amazing. But yeah, Bad Ben too. Like there were some cool parts of it, I guess, but like for the most part, it just felt like it was just. It was all the exposition. It was all the exposition that Bad Ben didn't have and didn't need. It was just like, okay, so here's a bunch of talking and setting up the first movie. Like that's all it was. I'm just like,
though I did like
some of it's kind of clever how they set it up. Yeah,
what the paranormal was. I did enjoy that because I was wondering.
Yeah, it's just such the way it's handled is just such an exposition dump, and like some of the way they set up like where certain props were in the first movie was kind of cool and interesting, but at the same time, like I don't need a full movie about that.
Though my favorite the chair.
I'm gonna get that chair.
I'm gonna get that fucking chair.
Give me that fucking chair. I got nowhere to sit downstairs in the basement. Give me the fucking chair.
Yeah, the
Ghost wanted that chair.
Was cool.
Yeah,
the whole basement thing was cool because, like, and that's an example. Like, I was wondering what was up with the basement. Like, what the hell was it? Okay, it was a portal to hell. Yay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's it. Like, again, that's a movie that, like, if it was a 10-minute like prologue, epilogue, whatever. It was like 10-15 minutes long, just giving you the information you needed, like fill in a few of the blanks and explain a few things and be like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. It'd have been fine. But it was like 90 minutes long. It was just like, oh, come on.
And that's why I at least want to watch the third one, because I kind of want to see.
I'm still curious. I liked the first one enough that I'm like, give me more. All right. If I watched 3-4 Paranormal Activity movies, I didn't even like the first one in that series. I can give you a third try, just to see what you do. Next category.
Oh yeah, comfiest movie, which for me was easily Pontypool because I love the idea of being locked up at a fucking radio station during any kind of emergency, because that just sounds fun as fuck.
Yeah. Wait, Pontypool was on your list?
Yeah.
Which one was that for?
It was... Oh, but maybe I didn't update it on here. What the fuck did I have that as the category? I think maybe I didn't update something right.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to remember.
Yeah, I think maybe it was Infection.
Infection would fit.
No, because I watched 28 Days Later for that.
Did you double up on a category?
I may have.
I mean, I'll allow it because Pontypool is amazing.
Oh, yeah. I definitely watched it for a category.
I'm trying to think what else it could go with. Blind watch? Group watch?
My group watch was played. Yeah, dude, I think I just accidentally a Pontypool.
If you're going to accidentally a movie, Pontypool is a good movie to accidentally.
Oh, you know what it was? I watched it also on Halloween. And I thought it was on my list, but it wasn't. Yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck. It gets to go on there anyway. Like special guest contender Pontypool.
Yeah,
because
spoilers. So comfy. It wasn't even on the official list, and it's still won.
It's also in my top 5. I fucked up my whole idea.
Wait, had you not seen Pontypool before?
Nah, man.
Oh, nice.
It was really good. Like the whole the way the zombie stuff was kind of weird, but like the rest of all the rest of the atmosphere, I was like, oh yeah, I love it, because like getting the news updates from the chopper guy, where it's like, he just gets on top of the hill in his car and just looks at the town, and he uses sound effects.
Pontypool is what I want Coast to Coast to be. Well, I mean, except without the world
state
ending.
of emergency.
Right. But no, just
it's that vibe.
That vibe of like you're there in the moment, things are happening, they're talking to cool people.
Yeah. It's got a very War of the Worlds vibe to it. Like a War of the Worlds radio show vibe to it.
So yeah, that was my comfy.
My comfy was Transylvania 65000. Just because it's
pretty good.
It's It's a comfy movie. Like it's definitely is in the category of horror comedy. Because it does involve like horror elements. Like it basically is an entire collection of all of the classic Universal monsters. There's a vampire lady, there's a wolf man, there's a swamp monster, I think. There's a mummy. There's a Jekyll and Hyde / Frankenstein type guy. Oh, there's a Frankenstein's monster. I remember that now too. But it's also just quirky and charming, and at the end of the day, all completely innocent. Like there is no true horror and there's no true threat. There's just the human perception of a threat and the reaction to it, which is where a lot of the conflict comes in. But it's young Jeff Goldblum, Ed Begley Jr., Julia Roberts looking sexy as hell as a vampire. Like it's just comfy. It's like a nice, chill, relaxing movie.
The guy who played Dr. Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, that guy was great.
The whole concepts, like it's. I hope it's not too spoilery.
No, this movie is old. Like, spoil the fuck out of it.
The whole concept of like he has to walk into a room to become
into his lab,
and he like as that room he fixes his hair, and he's like super sweet and very accommodating.
Nicest guy ever. He takes one step into his lab, he messes up his hair, and suddenly he's a complete bastard.
He's a maniac.
Yeah, complete maniac bastard. And there's a really funny part where I think, is it him and Goldblum or Ed Begley? Where they're walking back and forth through the threshold.
Goldblum.
It's Goldblum, yeah. Like he like they get him out. Goldblum
trying to take him out.
Yeah, Goldblum gets him out of the room, and he's like, hi friend, how you doing? You want some coffee? And the coffee machine is like right inside the lab. So as soon as he steps through the threshold of the lab, he like musses the center up again. He starts attacking Jeff Goldblum, and he pulls him back out. So they go back and forth into this room with him doing this shift like 3 or 4 times. It's amazing.
It reminded me of Mel Brooks.
It really definitely got a lot of Mel Brooks style to it, but like something else. Like it's not like true Mel Brooks. Like there's something else going on there.
Meets Monty Python. Something else.
Like it's kind of a hodgepodge of really good comedy stylings from that era, and it just kind of all merges together into this one delightful little trip.
Weirdly enough, Mayhem was.
Mayhem was your comfiest? I can see that.
I think it's mostly because it was so satisfying. Like everything that happened, even the mayhem was so fucking satisfying. Like
Mayhem was hilarious. It was so funny.
Go ahead.
It was hilarious in a way that it was very not dry, very straight to the point.
Yes.
Like step A to step B made the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would like that movie, Dizzy. I'm sorry, Nephew. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So I think my comfy movie, honestly, like at this point, I just need to see the rest of them. But Hellraiser, Hellbound, it was a comfy movie for me. Yeah, comfy movie. It was satisfying. There was a lot of power moments, I guess, for the main antagonist. Or the main protagonist. Yeah, the main protagonist. It was real nice. Mm. And like also I just like watching Doug Bradley act. We have such sights to show you. She's not amused.
She's like
but I really I love fucking Clive Barker. He's amazing. He is amazing, and like I would like to watch the rest of them, even though I know they're kind of poo. So
your mileage may vary. Some of them are kind of fun. There's definitely you've seen the 2 best Hellraiser movies.
Yeah, I definitely do want to rewatch through both of them again.
Yeah,
can we? Because like I said, I haven't watched Hellraiser in so long. forgotten.
Yeah.
Just need to hide my parts.
But like, you know, the bad guys get with more so, like, so good.
And touching on your possession, like how you like possession type movies, like that's one of my favorite too. Possession and then house possession. But I really like Dybbuk movies. Like anything that has to do with a Dybbuk, I'm pretty like, oh, cool. Something's gonna come out of there and it's gonna be funky. Let's go.
Right.
What was that one that I saw? You probably remember the name better. Little Tiny Monster.
I think that was called Gremlin.
No, not Gremlin. The little tiny monster that comes out of the Dybbuk box that eventually and I was so
Yeah, it was called Gremlin.
Was it?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the cover, and it's got the monster on the cover.
Maybe.
Yeah, not Gremlins. It's just called Gremlin. Right.
But that's a cool one. You would like that.
Never's comfiest movie that he watched was that one he can't remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's also the most forgettable.
It's because it put you to sleep.
Yeah, it was so comfy. You took a nap.
But it's forgettable doesn't necessarily mean bad. Just like, man, I was so fucking tired. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But let's see.
And it's one I won't watch again because I can't remember it.
There you go.
Look at you knocking all these award winners out.
It's so easy if you can't remember a single one.
So, sexiest killer, per your thing, my movie that was cheerleader camp.
Yeah,
because as the name implies,
there be cheerleaders.
Oh yeah.
What is cheerleader camp?
It's one of those 80s movies where it's like kind of campy and it's sort of the like, haha, we kind of not like full on like sexually harass women, but like pretty much do, and they're like, right. It's funny, right? Like women, but I mean, you know, it's a product of its time,
right? Yeah.
But it does have some funny shit, like one. There's a fat guy on the cheerleading squad, and he's all like, "Oh man, I'm gonna like get him sunbathing or whatever," because they're all at a cheerleading competition for like a week or something. And he's like there with like his little binocular things, dressed up like as a lady. It's like, oh, and then he eventually like gets caught in like, you know, the humorous fashion. He's like, oh, don't mind me. But the horror angle of it is one of the girls has these nightmares that she like kind of remembers, kind of doesn't. People start dying, weird shit starts happening, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's got boobies and the chicks in it are pretty hot, so
yeah,
it's worth a watch. I'd say.
I mean, yeah, no, it sounds. I mean, 80s horror.
A sheriff and a camp counselor, fuck, which is kind of fun.
Okay, yeah. No, it sounds like right up my alley.
Like it's a humorous sex scene as well. Like it's pretty great, like because they role play like football, and he's running into the end zone, which is
her end zone.
So he like runs across the room, you know, doing like the Heisman shit, and like,
oh my god, no, this sounds amazing.
Gets, tackles her in bed. And it's like, it's pretty good.
This sounds like what if somebody was like, what if Meatballs was a horror movie?
Kinda.
That's what it sounds like.
So yeah, definitely worth a watch. Yeah, it's just that 80s sexy horror, like straight up through and through.
Sexiest killer for me was Kim Director in Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, who is the most hot topic token goth chick ever, but she's fucking gorgeous.
I need to look this up. What is that now?
Kim Director. Just look up Kim Director. You'll see a screenshot of her from Book of Shadows. It was the only major thing I think she was ever in.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. It's that classic like early 2000s era goth chick look.
Yeah, damn, I go smoke some cigarettes in a graveyard with her.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, that's my pick for sexiest killer.
Right on.
I don't know if I can say mine. It might give too much away for Hereditary.
Oh.
Yeah, if it's for Hereditary, then yeah. Just go with the
You
easy
could just say
pick.
that it's Hereditary.
Just go with the easy pick for you, and just say that your sexiest killer pick is the humanoids from the deep.
They were adorable. They weren't sexy.
And
yeah,
then,
no. If you watch Hereditary, you'll definitely know who I mean.
And let's see. Anybody else on the sexy killer horror?
I'll put my vote behind Kim Director.
Okay. And then finally, last category, the sleeper hit, which to me was kind of like one you weren't sure about, and then you watched and you ended up enjoying way more than you were expecting.
Yeah.
For me, that was Jack Frost.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That one is synopsis. A serial killer is being transported to his execution when it's all icy and snowy out, when the truck crashes with like a chemical truck. Chemicals get on the guy, his DNA and his body melts and shit, and his DNA absorbs like with the snow, and he becomes a sentient snowman that can like melt and turn back into a snowman, and he goes around killing people, specifically the small town of the sheriff that caught him on, because he was doing like a nationwide killing spree. And it's got some funny stuff. It's kind of creative in those weird ways, like it's a killer snowman. And like
right.
for like the longest time, nobody fucking believes what's happening. Like there's a scene where there's the snowman in the front and they don't even know what the fuck's going on yet. Small kids out front getting bullied by some asshole kids with their sleds. One kid like kind of comes down, he trips the other kid, or the snowman trips the kid. His fucking head gets cut off by a sled, and the little kid has to be like, "It was the snowman! It was the snowman!" Also, I believe it was Shannon Elizabeth's very first movie.
Mm-hmm. And she gets banged to death by a killer snowman in the tub.
Yeah, she does.
What an entrance!
Yeah.
I think mine would have to be Phantasm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sat there and I watched it at Boone.
What's that?
And I just stared at you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, what is happening?
What's going on?
It took a while, and by a while I mean like a couple weeks.
Past the runtime of the movie.
Yeah.
Well,
to
past.
decide. I did like it, but I need to watch it again. I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. I think the thing I enjoyed most about it was the tall man.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
What is his name?
Angus Scrim.
I loved his walk.
Mm-hmm.
He had also, his name is amazing.
He's got in the Hall of Fame of top names ever. Yeah.
I need to bring him back from the dead so I can marry him and take on his last name. Yes, I'm aware I could legally just
go to the courthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could legally
There's an easier way.
Part of the challenge.
I like her. I like her method, because her method involves more Angus Scrim in the world, which I'm okay with.
See? No. See, this is everybody, like, I like Zach Galifianakis' last name. So I have to marry him to get his last name. Yes,
You're just gonna have 100 hyphenates,
right?
I'm aware last names you've picked up.
Your license will just be a paragraph,
right? Like, I'm aware I can just go to the courthouse and get it changed, but
it's like record collecting. You like the hunt.
Yeah, I like the hunt. That's the important part. But like, no, like his walk and his gait in that film is creepy, but also hypnotizing.
Oh yeah.
And the movie itself really wasn't unsettling to me. It was more confusing, but he is unsettling. His facial expressions are unsettling.
So the whole time we're watching Phantasm, every few minutes, which is roughly around the amount of running time it takes for something else weird and bizarre and unexplained to happen in Phantasm, she just keeps looking over at me. And then looking back at the screen, and then looking over at me again. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And then the movie ends, and she's like, so you think that's a good movie? And I'm like, I do. And she's like, okay. I'm like, so here's the thing about Phantasm. It's less a movie, it's more an experience. It's less. It doesn't have necessarily a cohesive plot. Nothing really makes a whole lot of sense, but it harkens back to when you were young and you had like a really bad fever and you were hopped up on cough medicine that back in that time was filled with so many drugs that you really shouldn't feed children. So you were a little high and you're watching something on the TV and you're zoning in and out, you're drifting in and out of consciousness. And so you've got parts of this movie in your mind, as well as the sound of the movie that your fevered head has created its own imagery for, on top of just when you've slipped a little bit deeper and your mind is just going completely insane, frying itself. That's Phantasm.
Yeah, that's literally a fever dream.
It is literally a fever dream of a film. And I think, like, because I remember the first time I saw it, I had kind of the same reaction she did, where I'm just like, what the fuck did I just watch? None of that made any sense.
It still doesn't make any sense, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, upon subsequent viewings, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, but I get it now. Like, it is literally just like, it's a dreamscape. It's a terrifying, like, weird dreamscape of a movie.
So here's the question then. You know those movies that you kind of half remember from when you were much younger?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't make any sense, but they terrified the hell out of you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Do you think those are real movies? Like, they're all just like Phantasm and Phantasm's clones.
Some of them, so from personally, some of them I have managed to track down after I got older. I managed to like remember enough or like pull at the right plot threads to find them again. So some of them for me definitely exist. And there are other ones that I just remember so little about that I can't track them down, and I just genuinely don't know. There was one, oh fuck, I can't remember what it was from. But it was like some kind of Halloween Town type movie back in the early mid-90s with Tim Curry in it. There's like some Halloween themed movie with Tim Curry in it and like there's all this, he sings a song and there's like all this green screen images of weird shit going on. And I stumbled onto it randomly like a couple of years ago, and it linked up with a memory I had of watching the TV when I was younger and seeing something that just, it was something creepy, and it was just like like flat images, like opening doors into other flat images of other creepy shit that I only ever saw once. I had no idea what it was. I couldn't even remember what channel it was on, and I was half certain I had dreamed this fucking thing until I saw the clip of that song, and I'm like, oh my god, that's it. That's what I saw. Wow. So that was trippy. Yeah, sometimes they come back to you and it's like, oh shit, there it is. I'm not insane.
I always have that with
yeah.
I always have that with a movie where it's a woman and she's pregnant and she lives in Walmart, and I forget, like, she goes into Walmart to buy flip-flops, and then she gets stuck there. It is a movie. No, it is a movie, but
home is where the heart is.
Yeah, but it continually happens. I forget that it's a movie. I'm like, is there a movie out there about a pregnant lady having a baby in Walmart?
I had to read that book. It was on a summer high school.
Like, that's one of my guilty pleasures when I remember it. Because, and then I'm like, that was slightly satisfying. I don't know why it was satisfying, but it was satisfying.
Because it's reaffirming in your brain that, like, no, I didn't imagine this. It's real. Look at it. It's right there.
Right? Like, and there's a
full Mandela effect.
Right? And it ends with like a tornado. Like, that's.
And then they all die.
It's ridiculous.
The baby gets a lawn chair through the face.
The baby's name is Americus, and she gets stolen by somebody at one point, by a Jesus group, and they abandon her in the manger, replacing the baby Jesus with her.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a weird movie, and I think that's why it stuck with. She gives birth in a Walmart, and then there's a tornado, and then her baby gets abducted.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's in that order, but like
tornado comes after, yeah.
Makes sense, sure.
Why
not?
No, it doesn't.
Because the whole reason she's at the Walmart is because her
baby needs Pampers.
Shoes. No, she goes in 4 shoes because her shoes fall through the baby daddy's hole in the floor of his car, and he just leaves her. He ups and leaves her.
So do you
'Cause
think
they're
this
going
counts as a
somewhere.
horror movie?
Anything's a horror movie if you're scared of enough shit. So what we got left? Top 5?
Yeah, I figure top 5. At least all my top 5 we've already discussed, so I can really just hit it as a fun little list here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for myself, number 5, Roswell the UFO cover-up.
Okay.
Number 4, coming in from literally out of fucking nowhere, Pontypool.
Hey.
Number 3, Reanimator. Number 2, Martyrs. And number 1, Little Monsters was my favorites of new movies that I watched during this month.
Nice. So top 5 for me. It was tough because I watched a lot of great shit. It kind of made it easy for me to pick worst because there was only really one genuine stinker that I watched out of all of them.
Right.
But top 5 was a little bit tougher. So I got number 5, Goodnight Mommy, which tells you how many good movies I saw last month because Goodnight Mommy is amazing. It's only at number 5. Number 4, Mandy.
Yeah.
Number 3, Bad Ben, which was bad. So Bad Ben is basically, because I feel like we never really properly talked about it. It's essentially like about as minimalistic. Actually, technically, I would say even more minimalistic than Paranormal Activity. Only, at least for me, vastly more entertaining because it goes through the usual rigmarole of like guy gets a new house for a decent price and he goes in to start cleaning it up and fixing it up because he intends on flipping the house. Only to come to find out there's something spooky living in that there house.
Well, naturally.
And he keeps just doing more and more like really dumb shit. Like he finds like a little grave out in the backyard with like a little music box next to it, and he's like, he takes the music box, he's like, I could probably sell that on eBay. and then he tears off the cross and like completely fucks up the grave, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? That's how you get ghost babies. Stop,
okay, I
please.
have got to see this movie now.
Oh, so good.
It gets better because like some spooky shit happens. He's like, yeah, whatever. Somebody's breaking into the house and fucking with me. So there's like cameras mounted in every single room in the house that he keeps like checking to see like what's going on. Finally, he figures out that the fucking house is haunted. And his reaction to the fact that his house is haunted is the most amazing thing ever, because usually this is the part of the movie where the new homeowner is like, oh god, it's ghosts. He is unfazed by the fact that there is a paranormal entity, a pissed off paranormal entity plaguing him. He's like, nah, fuck you, ghost. I sank all my savings into this house. It's the only way I can make any money. This is my house. Fuck yourself.
I bought this house.
I bought this house at a sheriff's auction. This is my house. You get the fuck out of here. It is the great, not even up until the very end, he is unfazed and he is just ready to just like be like, no, it's my house. You leave. To this ghost, which is like
you.
Yeah, and that's basically what the ghost does. Is like, no, you leave. I died here.
At one point, the door slams, and he's like, after he goes on this whole rant, and the door slams, and he's like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Get out of here. Like, it is so different. Like, it doesn't stop the movie from being creepy at all, but it's just such a deviation from what the main characters usually act like in that situation in those types of movies that I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, it's so good.
The best part of that is I can picture people that I know who would act exactly like that.
I'm like, this is the most realistic surprise your house is haunted, bitch movie I've ever seen, because this is exactly how they would act. Yeah,
Ghost.
this is exactly how certain people would act if they just were like, oh great, the house is haunted. Fuck. Get out of here, ghost. He's never terrified or scared or worried about it for an instant. He's just he's not even all that angry about it. He's just kind of annoyed and put out by it. It's great.
It reminds me of the typical Jerseyite. Like,
yeah.
Fuck, I gotta deal with this now? Jesus Christ. All right, let's go. Out of my house.
So yeah, that is why Bad Ben was both the sleeper hit and number 3 of my top 5. It's free. Nice. It's free to watch on Amazon Prime. There's actually 5 or 6 movies in the series.
Oh my goodness, there's a 7.
There's 7 of them now. Oh shit!
I typed in Bad Ben and it
there's an entire there's as many Bad Ben movies as there are Paranormal Activity movies. Bad Ben needs even though the second one kind of sucked, Bad Ben needs more attention on it. For the love of God, it's free on Amazon Prime. Check it out.
Badder Ben, the final chapter.
Badder Ben, yep.
So Baddest Ben comes around, you fucking rubes.
Yeah, right. If that's not open sequel baiting in the title, I don't know what is.
Right.
Oh, you thought we were done? We've only gotten to Badder Ben in our 7-movie opus. As long as we never make Baddest Ben, we've always got one more in us. But yeah, that was number 3. Number 2, Hereditary, which is incredible. And then number 1 for me was Mayhem. Which Mayhem, have you guys Kettle? Never?
No.
Not that I recall.
Okay, so Mayhem it's an infection movie. It takes place at a law firm, a big law firm building. And the setup for the world is that there's a new disease that once you become infected with it, it just strips away all of your inhibitions and your self-control. So not 28 Days Later rage zombies, although that is a possibility. But I think some of the examples used were if you really want to punch your coworker in the face, you just will. If you really want to start having sex with your girlfriend in the middle of a public venue, you will. So it's just all inhibitions stripped away. Glenn, I can't remember the actor's name, but Glenn from Stephen Young, thank you. Is an up-and-coming lawyer at this law firm that was instrumental in winning the first homicide case related to this disease to get it his client not convicted because he couldn't help himself. He was infected with this disease. So for all intents and
insanity, please.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, if you're under the influence of this disease, murder is okay. You will get away with it. So it's a cutthroat, shitty fucking law firm of just class A assholes. He gets screwed over by a coworker that leads to him getting fired. As he's about to get thrown out of the building gets shut down and locked under quarantine because there's an outbreak of the disease there, which he contracts, as does pretty much everyone else in the building. And he decides to get himself some good old-fashioned revenge, and he knows he can get away with it on his bosses. So he teams up with a chick who came in because her house was being foreclosed on by this firm to try and see if there was anything that they could do, and he basically told her to fuck off.
I changed my sexiest killer. I forgot about
that chick. Oh yeah, no, she was great. They wind up teaming up because they hook up, and she's like, "Oh, you motherfucker." He's like, "Hey, I'm not the one who fucked you. The people upstairs are the one who fucked you. You want to go get them with me?" So they team up and then basically go floor by floor, fighting their way through all sorts of insanity to get to the top of the building and get their revenge. It is amazing.
Nice.
So I've already used the line several times.
Yeah.
But as always,
what?
Humans, the real monsters.
Yeah. Pretty much. Man. But yeah, no, Mayhem was so good.
Nice. Well, I believe then that
I think that's it.
Our roundup.
Yeah, I mean,
More or
let's
less.
Fish and F have top 5.
Oh God, I'm so fucking sorry, guys.
No,
Or Never. Never has top 5.
Mayhem would have been number 1.
Number 5 for Never. That one you forgot. Number 4.
Well, actually, I will still again shout out the Steadfast Stanley short.
Okay.
It's a movie so
Well,
good I watched
1.
it twice.
Yeah, that's number
there we
1
go.
for you there. Followed by Don't Remember, Don't Remember, Don't Remember.
And that other one.
That other one.
I think I only really have like a top 3 because my brain is done did fried.
That's where I'm at right now too. That's why I'm like,
yeah.
Hey,
No, we're wrapping up. Yeah.
So 3 would have to be Phantasm.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I went from you think this is a good movie to good experience.
You like that?
Yeah.
You think that's good?
2 was Goodnight Mommy.
All right.
And 1 was Hellraiser Hellbound.
Hellbound, yeah.
Yeah. I love that movie so much. I almost love it more than I love it more.
I mean, I could see that. Like, Hellbound takes the first Hellraiser movie and then just expands it in such a wonderful, weird way.
It was like watching I think it was kind of like watching the no, I can't think of the movie name now, but like just watching her like I'm not crazy. You fucking assholes. Like, and just taking control and kicking ass in the most natural way, I think. Like, she was very much like, it's not like she was super powered. It's not like she was flawless.
No.
She fucking had a will to fucking live, and it was amazing. Also, she's my sexiest killer, technically, I guess.
Yeah. Kirsty?
Yeah. Because, I mean, technically, she plays a role in getting people killed.
Yeah, I mean, I'll allow it.
Yeah. Like, but just because she is so human and, like, yeah, I could survive. Yeah. Like, that's something I could do.
Mm-hmm.
So Hellbound definitely is top of this month. Top all time is Shin Godzilla. Will forever Shin Godzilla, but
sexiest killer is Shin Godzilla.
Yes, that is my. I don't think they specify a gender, and I'm okay with that. As my man, lady beast.
Fish.
5 would be Grave Dancers, just because Dom Purcell.
Yeah. Grave Dancers is fun.
4 Humanoids.
Okay.
3 Bad Ben. 2 would be Mayhem. 1 would be her.
Yeah.
But the order of them is just not to say that, like, I mean, that's just the order.
Yeah,
like I said, it says a lot that I watched so many good movies last month that Goodnight Mommy is number 5.
You cut out.
It says a lot about the quality of movies I saw in October. That
Cut out again.
Cursed.
Goodnight Mommy was number 5, and it was really good even. And there were a bunch of other really good ones I watched too that didn't even make the list.
We got the point. Your microphone allowed us to at least understand what you were mostly saying.
Well,
I think it's Discord at this point.
It is Discord. It is Discord. I'm positive that the stream can hear me fine. Okay. So since Discord is shitting itself, apparently, and we've gone through the gauntlet of everything, I think.
We've punished Discord pretty hard tonight, too. We got together like an hour before this and was like, all right, so here's how we can kind of do it, I think.
Yeah, we kind of pieced it together in the last hour. And we've been video chatting the whole time through. So it's been a trooper, but yeah, it's showing some wear. Showing some seams.
Yeah. It's flashing occasionally on my screen.
Yeah. It's been doing that for a while.
Now, before we end, I do want to follow up on our conversation about Bad Ben by letting people know that Bad Ben 7 is in the works.
Oh,
Bad
hell
Ben,
yeah.
The Haunted Highway, coming soon on
The
Amazon.
Haunted Highway.
The
Oh my
Haunted
god! I hope it's on the
Highway.
fucking Parkway.
And
Oh my
additionally,
god! Like, I know that exit.
Badder Ben, the final chapter, is actually number 3 of the series.
It is.
Yeah.
Bad Ben 2 doesn't
end.
even have Bad Ben in the title. It's called something else.
Yeah,
Completely.
We have Bad Ben, Steelmanville Road,
Steelmanville Road.
Badder
Yep.
Ben, the final chapter, the story wasn't over, Bad Ben, the Mandela Effect, The Crescent Moon Clown, the Bad Ben saga continues, and the 6th film from Nigel Bach, Bad Ben, The Way In.
Now see,
I'm in.
with the Mandela Effect one, that's how they can get around it and be like, he never left.
I think that is what I've read the synopsis on the Mandela Effect one, and I think it literally is just like kind of a recut remake of the first movie. I got in and out a lot there, didn't I?
Bless you.
That came through.
Sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's all good.
When we watched the Bad Ben movie, but I didn't know there were that many sequels, and I was like, holy shit, I cannot wait.
I will also tell people that if you're imagining what the Bad Ben posters look like,
They're so cheap.
my goodness, Bad Ben 7, The Haunted Highway, is what looks like a stock photograph of somebody's car
Yeah,
cut out and just placed on top of a doll head.
they're so cheap.
Well, the guy's house, that house is that guy's house in Egg Harbor.
Yeah.
It's also his studio.
It's
Neil Bachman.
It's practically literally the same making of story as Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Only I like this movie. But yeah, I think we're good. I think we did it all.
Yeah,
Yay!
we went a little over our original play, but about 3.5 hours.
3.5 is
Yeah.
fair. Yeah. At least we didn't zoom through it. And my fear was it was a ridiculous fear, but my fear was that we were gonna zoom through it and it'd be like 20 minutes in, and it's like, well,
no. That's why after an hour we were on number 4, and I'm like,
yeah, it's like, yeah, thank you for doing that. By the way, I was also feeling it. I'm like,
part 7.
I'm like, this is gonna take all night. So yeah, thank you everybody for all the co-hosts and everything. If anybody's got a Twitch channel, you can promote it now.
Oh boy.
you can see mine below me. I stream infrequently. It's a variety thing. The name is right there.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
And
Same, and soon TM.
I do not stream, but you will see me with the Boon on Wednesdays for the most part.
I am sure that most of you in chat already have seen my channel. It is also, as with everyone else, infrequent. Never all there. And yeah, variety stream, a little bit of everything, mostly nothing.
Mojo is some disembodied text. It's true. You're center stage. Never when you finish in Harvester.
I have no idea. Hopefully soon. I would like to wrap it up. Maybe if we're feeling squirrely, we can try to
I'm
wrap
gonna
up
send you
Harvester.
pictures of squirrels tomorrow.
Oh.
Squirrely.
Oh.
No, someone petting a
I
squirrel.
walked into that.
Yeah, someone petting a squirrel and then like some vegetable.
Feel that squirrely.
Yeah, feeling squirrely.
Yeah.
So I'm Boone. I used to stream regularly, and then shit happened, and then I stream less regularly, but I still technically have a schedule. So technically speaking, I should be back tomorrow or next week, Monday. I guess to do more Witcher. Who knows? We'll see. There's a bunch of shit you can click on. Yeah, you don't fucking own space. NASA does.
NASA.
There's a whole bunch of shit you can check out down below. Discord, Twitter, YouTube, my books. Which, if you like horror stuff, you'll like my books because they're all horror stuff. Can anybody check and see? Oh, what?
And to promote myself, you have a new cover for one of your books.
I do have a new cover. I got a new cover for The Case of the Nixon. It's never had an official cover before. That's changed. There's an official cover now, and it is made by Never. And it's awesome.
Never. Yeah, it is.
So you should check that one out. It's short and it's cheap. What more do you want? Also, it's superior to any movie you may have seen, because in movies you gotta watch what they're doing all the time. But in my books, exclusively, you get to read about people doing stuff. It's great. No one else has ever done that with a book before. It's just, I'm the first.
A true luminary.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that no one's thought of this before. Does anyone know, can check on Trap's stream and see if...
Trap isn't streaming anymore, I don't think.
That's what I was going to ask, if he was still on.
No, it's just you and Enigma for...
Wait, I see Trap on.
No, Trap's on.
I also see him on.
He's playing Street Fighter.
Why is he not...
Did you unfollow Trap?
No, that's the sad part. It's just not freaking... It's being ridiculous. I don't know why.
Yeah, he looks on. Is he?
Yeah, he's on. He's in the middle of a fight.
Yeah.
The advertisement I did by his stream was MTV's The Alabama Shore.
Yeah, no, he's still playing. He's going. He's even got like a little camera.
I see that. It looks weird and all foggy and shit.
It's like, yeah, it's like an oval.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, hey, I never get to raid Trap. So let's go raid Mr. Trap Hustler 101. He's going to play in Street Fighter 5. He's very good at fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
So let's all go say hi to Trap.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody that hung out, chat, lurked, did all the stuff tonight. It was much appreciated. It's nice to be back. This was a lot of fun. This is a lot more in line with like the whole concept I had of like starting to do like a horror talk show type thing. So maybe we'll try and do something like this more frequently if people are interested.
I mean, I'm always game.
No.
Yeah, maybe.
I could be convinced.
But for now, that'll do it. Let's all go say hi to Trap. Get out of here, everybody. Have a good weekend, good night, and everything. Get out.
Good night.